Call to order the meeting of the Board of Assessors today, October 2nd, in the Ritter Building, lower level. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, be advised this meeting is being recorded. The recording will be found at the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The meeting will be held in person here. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended nor terminated if the technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in this any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. For remote participation from a computer, please use the link. I will read it off to you. https://us02web.zoom.us/j/88142663258 ? Password is capital O, lowercase b-a, capital J, lower b, capital Q, capital D, lowercase b-r, the number 1 y, capital J, the number 5, lowercase n, 28, lowercase I-z-r, uppercase D, lowercase v, uppercase C-M-O-U-X, lowercase u, capital B-T-S, those were all 3 capitals, .1. The meeting ID is 881-4266-3258, and the passcode is 972011. From a telephone, please dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar ID I just mentioned. I'll read it again, 881-4266-3258, £. If you've not registered for Zoom, you'll be asked for your name and an email address. No participant ID is needed. Just press the pound sign when asked. Telephone users may use the *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by open meeting law. I call us to order. Because we have a fairly large group and we have a lot of folks, some folks potentially on Zoom, we could all identify ourselves.
Sarah Cameron.
Brian LaFawn, Chair.
John Rabbit.
Linda McQuaid. Marina Swayze.
We have some guests, but they don't have to introduce themselves until they speak, so I think we're okay there, right?
Yep.
Are there any opening comments from the board?
No.
Mr. Chairman, I do have some comments, but I'd rather, some of them may be addressed during the meeting, so therefore I prefer towards the end.
Well, we have comments at the end, too.
Yeah, and perhaps some of them go to Linda when it's your turn. That's all. Thank you.
And I have none. Any opening comments from the public? No hands raised? I have one right here.
My name is Ron Cohan. I live at 232 Vine Street in Everett, Massachusetts. I'm past president of the Mass Assessors Association. I am currently a member of the Legislative Committee of the Mass Assessors Association, and I am past president of Middlesex and Essex County Assessors Association. Here I'm to observe and potentially make some comments.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? None? Should we skip through the status report and move right to the first order of business?
Yeah,
So
let's
we
do
have
that.
several guests. The first order of business, current business, is to discuss the potential change in roles and responsibilities of the Assessor's Office and the Tax Collector's Office in preparing items for munis with the interim town manager. So perhaps you'd like to start. Come on up to the table, please. Just because we're not usually at our meetings, introduce yourself.
My name is Carter Terenzini. I am the interim town administrator.
I'm Ezekiel Ayala. I'm the finance director in the town account.
So thank you for having us this evening. What we'd like to do is to have Izzy speak to the best management practice of separation of certain functions. Council can speak to the statutes, and I can speak to the time at which this would be triggered. Does that sound like a good way to go?
Sure.
Izzy?
And I'll ask a question now, but I'm hoping that we can hold all questions until we're done, or do you want us to ask questions as you go?
It might be best if we went through a quick round of presentations and then,
My preference too, but thank you.
okay.
Absolutely. So, coming to board for the town, it's been a little over 7 months now. I've found there needs to be a segregation of duties within town hall. So between the treasurer collector's department, in particular for this meeting, and the assessor's department, so looking through the documents and the role and responsibilities of both department and their department heads, the treasurer collector's department is in charge of the billing process. However, they need a commitment from the assessor's department in order to process the bills. It has to be a check and balances. So I believe, and it should be, the segregation, that's where the line should be. It's the report from the assessors. They create the commitment, the upload to Munis from the commitment. That doesn't create the bill, so you're still processing the commitment. Once you do the upload, the treasurer's office in turn produces a report, and the two offices should balance to make sure there are any offsets, any variables. From there, the treasurer's office takes it, sends it off to the billing company, and produces the billing for the town.
And I think that I want to just drive what we see is the difference. There's been a lot of talk about preparing the bill, publishing the bill, and all that. So we see a distinction between the preparation of the data file, which only the assessor's office has, which is uploaded into the Munis system, and then the treasurer collector taking it over from that point forward. As Izzy said, she prints a proof, both sides look at it, reconcile any differences, and then the bills are printed and published. And the obligation to print and publish the bills, is actually, some of the statutes aren't quite as clear as we might all like them. What DOR will tell you is, well, wherever you place the money to print and publish the bills is who's responsible. I mean, that's the simplest term. But I just want to, that's kind of the dividing line as we see it. Okay if we have council speak?
Feel free. Adam?
Yes.
Carter wants you to speak.
So I'm presuming that you can all hear me okay. I've been sending messages so as to not interrupt, but you're obviously not reading the screen because you're listening to whoever's speaking. I can't hear virtually anything that anybody is saying. I don't know who's in the room because I'm seeing the tops of 3 people's heads, and I can't hear anything unless somebody gets incredibly close to the laptop and speaks very loudly. So I know somebody's been presenting for the past few minutes, but I have my volume as high as it goes, and it's so muffled that even with a higher volume, I can't hear it. So I don't know if it's an issue with the speaker system on your end or what it is, but I apologize. Carter, is there something you'd like me to address?
Well, Izzy was explaining the
No, not this mic. That mic is...
segregation of duties as he saw them, and I was suggesting that where the issue lies is the difference between preparing a data file, which only the assessors have access to, and uploading that into the accounting software. The treasurer collector then prints a proof, both sides review it, reconcile it, and then it is the treasurer collector that has the responsibility to prepare, print, and mail out the bills. I also noted that statutes aren't as clear as we would like, In fact, DOR will tell you the responsibility to print and mail the bills can vary from town to town, depending upon where the town puts the money for that function. I was hoping that you might speak to the statute and charter as it impacts this issue.
Sure, I can certainly do that. I mean, I think the reality, I've followed along the conversation, the dialogue that's been had, the emails that have been exchanged over the past couple of weeks. We did some independent research of our own. I'll be candid, we found a lot of the same statutes, a lot of the same legal guidance, secondary sources, DLS publications and whatnot that others have found. I mean, there's only a certain body of certain body of law that addresses this issue, and it's not all that broad. The statutes themselves aren't specific as to, and this is not unique to municipal finance or tax collection. The statutes aren't all that specific with regard to how the day-to-day occurs. The statutes are, as they often are, they're higher level. They discuss general obligations, authority for completing tasks in the larger scheme of things, but don't get into the particulars of the day-to-day, how processing is done locally. It's just not how it works. It doesn't work in other municipal contexts that way either. We found this reference, I see it was cited too in some other correspondence to the 2022 Ask DLS Local Tax Collection Guidance Document. The assessors commit the tax list and issue a warrant to collect the tax to the collector. After that, the collector is responsible for sending proper notice of the local tax or excise due. And then comes the language that seems to be somewhat helpful. The general laws, however, did not specifically state who is responsible for producing the bills. Absent a charter provision, ordinance, or bylaw setting forth the responsibility for preparing the tax bills, the responsibility belongs to the collector or other department with funds budgeted for that purpose. So again, there's a deference here afforded to the home rule authority of municipalities through the charter provision, through their bylaws or other regulations, to dictate how the individual municipality is going to function as it relates to preparing the tax bills or preparing the data file prior to the actual production and mailing of the tax bills. As left to the municipalities. And in Lunenburg, you're governed by a charter, so I guess you have that advantage. Many communities aren't, and so there's no governing document to look to. Your charter is quite heavily places the authority in the hands of the administration, the town manager. Provisions state that the town manager has complete authority to structure, supervise, direct, and be responsible for the efficient coordination of all of the fiscal and financial business of the town. Talks about the director of municipal finance, who of course is a town manager appointee, who is responsible for the management of the day-to-day financial affairs. So again, the authority is vested in the town manager to determine how the day-to-day functions within municipal governance. And again, that's not unique to municipal finance. Same rules apply in other municipal contexts. If we're dealing with land use, for example, the rules are the same under Lunenburg's charter. But I think that Carter and I have spoken a bit, and I think that the nuance here, even as it relates to those provisions that I just read, the nuance here is I don't think that the suggestion is that the assessor's office ought to be preparing and mailing the actual tax bills themselves. I think the suggestion that has been put forward is that the data file would be created by the assessors, and that the tax collector would then perform that function of actually creating the bills themselves and assuring that they get mailed. And that latter part is certainly consistent with my experience in other municipalities, and it sounds like it's consistent with the guidance that was provided by Jim Crowley and by others at DOR.
Are you finished for now? Okay.
I just have a clarifying question, Adam. Are you saying that the production of the data file comes from basically the warrant that we issue, there's a data file, and then it gets handed off to the tax collector? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that that level of specificity is not contained in any statute that I'm aware of. It's not contained in any secondary guidance document that I'm aware of. That is determined municipality by municipality. I don't have a lot of personal experience with that because I don't get involved in those details as town council in any of the communities that we represent, and we represent over 36 communities. But I know a bit about it, and I know that it's not done the same way in every one of the communities that I represent. And I don't have any history in Lunenburg. I mean, I have a lot of history in Lunenburg, but not with this particular issue. And so for the 8 or 9 years that we've been town council in Lunenburg, I don't know how it's historically been done.
Before you were slated to comment here, did you talk to other communities to see how they do it traditionally? Handing off the data?
Is that question to me?
Yeah,
No.
okay, thank you.
So if I could summarize just a bit. I heard that it's clear that the assessor's office is responsible for the commitment and warrant and handing that off to the collector. Is that correct?
Yes.
So the format in which that is handed off, today, we send a file. That is created by our camera system, by Vision. So at that point, I think our steps are done. The information that we got was, at that point, we will need to start setting up some potential counts and codes, and we don't think that that is appropriate to the assessor's office. So I think the question is really, where is that cutoff? And if we have to become experts within the assessor's office on all different kinds of aspects, thank you for,
Of the finance
somebody
software.
spit that out for me, of financial system, it's sort of we have a lot of other things to do, and we don't have the time nor the resources to do all of that work. So the question is really, what is that cutoff? You mentioned upload. Well, we certainly already do, here's the file,
And that file is accessible at that point.
and then have at it. So anything beyond that, nobody thought we were supposed to be actually sending the bills, I don't think.
No.
Nobody interpreted it that far down the line, but the question is really how far into Munis, our financial system, should the assessor's office have to get? That's the first question. So we'll start with that one, and does everybody have any feedback or any comments on that?
I actually do. The setting up of the accounts annually, that's the finance director's role. That's not the assessor's role.
Good.
So just want to clarify that. You're not expected to create accounts, because I would have an issue with that on my end, because that causes a progress for the town. So if you have one person within the system with too much power, you can set up your own accounts. You can
My concern.
you can have the data file, you can take it, and you can manipulate the file however you need.
Yeah.
You can upload the file, and then you can send the bills. So it's strategically, we should separate it. So the finance director sets up the accounts. The commitment comes from the assessor.
Yeah.
So in order for the commitment to come from the assessor, instead of handing over a file, it should be uploaded into Munis, because within the system, it creates a commitment book. And the treasurer collector is unable to produce the billing without the commitment book. So what the treasurer collector does, she takes the commitment book from the system, cross-references it with the assessor's department as a fraud control. So from there, the bills are, if there are any edits that need to be made, what have you, and then the bills go out. And then at the other end, when I do my reconciliation as the finance director, I balance with both the assessor and the collector.
Good. So you said something key in there. There needs to be an upload of that information into Munis. On some of the motor vehicle excise tax things, the instructions that we got showed us how to set up an account that didn't yet exist necessarily. We should not be doing that. We should not have to be touching that. So I think what you said sort of reinforces what I was thinking on that piece of the work. Okay. Carl.
If I may, that brings us to the timing
Oh, not yet.
Okay.
Oh, we're not there yet. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, no,
I don't think
no.
we're there yet. So I want to make sure that we know who's doing what with what file. So we currently send you a warrant and a commitment, and it comes in a file. How does that get into Munis?
It needs to be uploaded into Munis, it's a file
Let's see.
Rena first, please.
Rena Sweezy. I have worked now in 5 communities. I have 30 years in the assessing experience. And, I've been an assessor for 30 years. In all the communities I've been, and they've all been mostly vision communities, what I have done was, I worked with vision. We get the file ready, I put in any changes, lot splits, new owners, all that. I get the file ready, I work with vision on it. What vision and I do is basically install the file on my system, and then I turn that entire file over to the tax collector. That's all I do is prepare the commitments, and turn it over. I don't do anything in Munis. That was done by the tax collector.
So it's clear that we're really discussing something that's very narrow, and that is who does the upload into Munis, and what kind of Munis expertise would we have to have in order to do that upload? Did you want to speak, Ron?
Yeah.
Could I?
Ron Cohan, I have 30 years' experience in the assessing field also. I've never, as past president, I've never seen any community that is doing what's being proposed in my 30 years. I just wanted to clarify a little bit, when you're talking about real estate and personal property, okay, the assessors, once they finalize and the Board of Assessors votes to those values, they then turn it over to the treasurer, collector, and I'm not sure exactly in the town, to issue, to balance. Then the assessors give them the warrant. And at that point, because they've got the file, they've balanced it out. Motor vehicle excise is different. The assessor's office gets the file from the RMV. So we do nothing with it other than basically pass it on.
Pass it on, right.
So we do absolutely nothing with the RMV file, other than a commitment,
Right.
the warrant, I'm sorry.
Which you sign, it's a.
Which we've signed.
Which we've signed.
And we do all,
Yeah.
thank you. We've done all those steps. So it's really, we're coming down to, as I said, a very narrow window of, at what point does that handoff officially take place? And you're suggesting that we should upload to Munis as opposed to give you the file and let you upload to Munis, which is the financial system, not the assessing system. So, go ahead.
I will say within the Munis software, if you go through the database, the part where you do the upload, it's under the assessors module.
Okay.
I will say that, that's specifically labeled as
On
part of the assessors
Both
piece.
motor vehicle and property?
It's under the property, it's under the revenue piece, under the assessors, the treasurer has their own separate module. Treasurer plaza.
I believe it also has setting up the charge accounts under that too, which
Yes, it
is something that
does.
we wouldn't do.
Well,
That's right.
setting up the charge accounts, it's on the other side on the GL.
Or tax year settings and all
Yeah,
that.
that's
That's
more.
under assessors too, so it gets
Muddy.
Yeah.
muddy, it does, it's not.
Okay. Carter?
So I think we've had different experiences. Rena and the gentleman behind me have one set of experiences, and I have a set of experiences over my way too many years at this point, in which the model is exactly as I've described. what it comes down to is what constitutes turning over the file. The idea that you put it on a disk or you put it on a thumb drive and you turn, no. It is the responsibility, in my experience, for the assessors to turn the file over, if you will, by uploading it into the system. The treasurer then prints a proof, compares that with the assessor, and they resolve any differences that appear. And then the treasurer takes the system over after that.
So, I know you've been in several communities, but we checked with one of the communities that you're in, and that was not the case,
Which one was that?
Boxborough.
And I
Well,
was there too, and I did,
The assessor there would disagree with you, but that's okay.
We
I
spoke with
was
this,
also in Boxborough.
and we spoke with the assessor.
I was the intern in Boxborough. Never did it.
and I did contact the tax collector that I worked with, because it had been some time since I was in Boxborough, and he clarified to me, no, Linda, you literally gave me the file, you sent it to me in email, and then I did the rest. So he, and his name was Jared Aponte, we worked together, so I didn't do anything with the file other than
Right.
send it to him by email, and then he did the rest in data, and including both.
And you may not have had to be involved with any of that, so you may not have known, but that was what the process was that they were using underneath you.
I can only tell you what the assessor who's working there now told me.
Ron?
If I may again, in follow-up to what your assessor just said, Linda, the IGRs and the law are also very explicit that it is permissible for an electronic file. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, because it sounded like, you know, an electronic file on a CD or what, well, CD, I'm showing my age now.
Real to real.
Send it to the drive.
Green bar,
Sorry.
so,
As long as we're not on 8 tracks.
That's right.
so it's an electronic, they've changed the law, I believe it was 4 years ago, to put that wording in there to make sure everybody, that is permissible now.
So you could presumably put it into OneDrive and then link it.
Put it into a flash
There's your
drive,
desktop.
walk over to him
For
and
upload.
hand it to him, that's right.
Mhm.
That is legal.
I actually, over the last couple of days, remember reading that, so yes.
So it doesn't need to get lost on a thumb drive, it can just go through.
Right. Right. Oh, Rena.
When I was here as the interim, not this past billing period, but the one prior to that, I worked with Vision. We uploaded the file to my system. I emailed it to Mylene. That's as far as I went. I never touched Munis.
So that actually brings up another comment that I wanted to make in. We used to have, we didn't have the model we have today. We have the principal assessor today. In the past, we did not. We hired that out. Since we've adopted the principal assessor model, not one of the assessors have uploaded that file to Munis. So it feels like this is a big change, a lot more responsibility for this office that is already vastly understaffed. So I'm a little concerned about A, the decision at all, and B, trying to implement that decision in a reasonable time. And you know, what is that gonna cost us? Well, it's not in her contract, so we're gonna have to renegotiate her contract, so she puts that in the file. I don't think that makes sense. But that's just me. So you guys can, any feedback that you have on that, I would be happy to.
Happy to speak to the timing issue. I came to a decision that to trigger this now, when we're looking at the possibility of switching software. Also, while we haven't yet been able to land that administrative assistant, was not a good use of anyone's time. And so we have decided that we would trigger this after the long-term decision has been made as to what software there's going to be. Vision no longer supports this current software after the spring of next year.
Munis.
Munis, I'm sorry. Apologies. And Munis is pushing people towards the cloud. So whether or not we upgrade and go to that system, or we switch to another vendor, Vadar is one possibility, there's a few others. But in this state, it's primarily Munis and Vadar. It makes the most sense to wait until that decision is made. So we're training hopefully 2 people at the same time on the new software. So this change won't happen for a while.
A while being measured in months, or measured in weeks, or measured in years?
Probably measured in months.
Okay.
I would say something on the order of 6 plus or minus. Because a final decision has to be made. If we go with another vendor, we've got to get on their book. They then schedule a training team and a deployment team to come in. So I think we're looking at 6 plus or minus months before that occurs.
So that's kind of a relief, being our current staffing situation. But I still have a concern, and that is, if you're gonna make a change to the process that we've been using for the last several years, I would really want that decision to be made by our permanent town manager, whenever that person is hired. So implementing something like this on a temporary basis, potentially temporary basis, because they may reverse it, it really doesn't make any sense to me. So even if it is implemented in 6 months, I would really want to postpone any decision on a change of process until we have a new town manager, but that's just me.
It's not just you. I'm of that opinion as well.
I agree with the council.
So would you like to speak?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to go first, or you want Tom?
Go ahead, let the board.
And we got a line.
I guess I'm bothered, first of all, that we don't have any flow charts that we could look at. I really am. I'm saying, hey, we're the interface, we're the files that we talk to, we're the vulnerabilities. We don't do that here. We don't have a work breakdown structure, meaning who does what and what is the timing. This is a cluster, if you know what I mean, right? And to cause a change in an environment like that, you're looking at a mega mess, right? So before we make any of those steps, shouldn't we at least first document what we're doing and how we're doing it and what files we're talking to? We should be documenting our current state before we shift. This is another catastrophe waiting. And so I'm thinking, if you can get that all done in 6 months, if you can do the flows, you can do the processing, you can do the procedures and the current state procedures, that would be great. That gives you a half a chance of making a change that doesn't blow us up. So that's my part.
Tom, you were next, unless I wanted to comment.
No. I don't know that.
You want to come up closer so we can make sure we pick you up?
So this is a unique position because I'm the liaison, but this is Tom Alonso, 284 Lancaster Avenue. So I'm also on the select board. So although I'm the liaison, I don't usually like to get involved in the meetings, but this is a kind of a special case. So I just want to point out some things that, one of the questions I had that has already been answered, which is, okay, they're looking for a process change. Clearly, this isn't the first year we've ever sent out motor vehicle excise taxes, so this has been done only probably 50 to 100 years ago. So there must have been a way this was done, and then I think the chair indicated, and other people at the table indicated how it was done. So I will, and then hearing the interim town manager speak that this would be delayed by 6 months, so that relieves, I think, immediate pressure. But there are a few things I want to bring up that I think are important. First of all, I don't think it's a catastrophe. I think it's a process change. And I think all process changes, especially those involving elected boards, have to be done in conjunction with those boards. And they really, although authority may exist to make top-down decisions, it is generally my opinion that those never go well. So they all should be in conjunction with the boards and really put out into the future, and I think that's what's already been discussed. That needs to happen, how it's done. As an IT person with professional, and I put professional in quotes, IT software, because the last 10 months have had me consider otherwise. What we're talking about, the handoff of a file, I am assuming, and just please by a simple yes or no, I'm assuming what comes out of Vision is a standard formatted file. And if you did it next year with the same software, it would come out presumably in the same format, and if there are format changes, you would know them well in advance. And those fields get mapped into a database, which also presumably has noted fields, and the mapping is really just a simple, you should drop it into a folder, that folder should be a hot folder that gets processed and put into it. That should be, what we're discussing as some big process change, to me, is really a fact of modern software that should be eliminated. Like, this discussion shouldn't be happening because it should cost nobody any time if the systems are set up right to do that. Once the file is generated, it should be put in, and there should be an ingestion process that it just looks at the file, and unless there's format errors, should easily go through, and it should literally take less than a half an hour. And that's generous, it should take 15 minutes. So that, whatever we choose in the software going forward, really needs to be done, because then this becomes a moot point. As for the process itself being listed, of course, if anybody's been following the select board meetings, I have asked for that, and I think that is in the process where we have standard operating procedures so that people aren't guessing. I think it's been understood in the past, and that history goes forward, but as you lose people who were here a long time, as Logan said in one of his talks, the public comment to the board, when you lose that institutional knowledge as people who've been here for 40 years and 30 years leave, then nobody knows what really they were doing because it wasn't written down, because everybody just assumed that we knew what we were doing because I worked here so long. And we need to change that. I mean, that is institutionally what needs to change. And so I hope that going forward is really where we get to. So there are standard operating procedures. All these things happen every year on a certain calendar time every year. It should be not a world of guess from anybody how we get from the beginning to the end of the process. And if somebody new comes in, it should be written so that everybody new knows it as well. So those are my comments, Mr. Chair. Thank you for letting me speak.
One comment, I'd like to thank the board for taking on the job description, organization chart, standard operating procedure process, because that's absolutely crucial to be, continue functioning in the 21st century.
Thank you. I think it's long
We're
overdue.
getting to the 21st century.
I think it's long overdue, and without, I mean, again, there were other things going on in the town over the years that had preempted it, but now I think it has really risen to the highest priority, so.
Thank you. Ron, you were next?
Yeah, if I may, on the comment that you just made, sir, about the formatting of the file, both motor vehicle, excise, and real estate and personal property, the format is dictated by the state. So it is, take the file, drop in. Anytime there's a problem with the file, it's generally the Munis system. Calling a spade, okay? That's just to clarify, so you understood that. The question I would have is, when does your budget process start?
Well,
Sure.
we're nearly ready to start, right?
So at best case, you're looking at, based on what you said, this not taking place until fiscal '27. Because you gotta do the budget process, then you gotta award the contracts and everything. So you're probably talking a year and a half away, based on what you said, sir.
I think we're looking closer to 6 to 9 months, because if we switch software, Munis will stop supporting our version in the spring, March, I believe. So our obligation, our burden, will be either to renew the Munis somewhere in the early spring and stick with them, or to run naked for a few months, and to convert to a new software vendor at the end of this fiscal year. I don't like to switch software at any part during the fiscal year,
which is my point.
I've never seen that go well.
I think we're all in accord on that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we're looking at 6 to 9 months here at this point. 6, if we end up staying with Munis, because if we're gonna stay with Munis and go to the cloud, there's no point in what I call running bare, they're not gonna support it. If we're gonna have a new vendor come in and deploy their software in July, then you got April, May, and June, and you kind of cross your fingers and hope for the best.
May I ask a question? Who's deciding whether we stay with Munis or not?
I'll speak to that.
We've been having user sessions with the staff. Anybody who's a heavy user within the system, so
'Cause-
taking that feedback in conjunction with the town manager and then the select board.
Because it's my understanding people have quit over having to use Munis.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So we are heavily having the users
I hope we can
contribute.
find some.
Can we come back?
I would just add, if I may, it's kind of, what you said is not necessarily inaccurate, but I would add a very qualifying word. They've quit because of our implementation and the poor upgrade of our implementation
I
of
see.
Munis, not Munis itself. There are other communities that use Munis and it's going fine. So
I
it's,
see.
it's what, something happened here in the upgrade a year ago, or now a little more than a year ago, and despite all of our calls to them, they have not been able to correct it.
So-
Okay, thank you.
Imagine that you have a version of something from 2018, and the new one's issued in 2020, but you don't upload it. And the new one's issued in 22, and you don't upload it. My understanding is you were a number of uploads behind and tried to leapfrog what should have been a sequential
Continuous, yep.
process. You try to leapfrog all that. Now, in fairness to Munis, when it's working well, in the hands of well-trained users, there are many communities across this state that like it. There are also many communities across the state that like Vadar, and there's some others. The only thing I can guarantee you is that no matter what software system is, somebody's not gonna like something about it. That I can guarantee you right now.
That is
Change.
So we're running Windows XP. Just to be clear.
And also, for those people listening, Mr. Chair, I also want it to be known that I shouldn't say we needed to get on the latest version. We, the town of Lunenburg, had no hand in the upgrade itself. That was all done by the developers of Munis itself.
Okay.
It was, I believe it was their error that leapfrogged and didn't go through all the sequential upgrades that should have happened, and by going from a really old one to the very new one, that process that was missed in the middle did modifications that the end product did not catch, and that's what caused the database errors and the form errors that we've been seeing.
And it was done just before the bills went.
Of course.
Right.
Which was the worst.
Again, not a great time to do it.
I will say, from what I've heard from everybody who's a heavy Munis user, when the upgrade happened, there was no proper training as well. So all the modules may have stayed the same, but the screens are all different. You have to go through different tasks, you have to go through different windows, and nobody was showed how to do what they needed to do, which is unacceptable.
And should we switch, or even if we upgrade units, we've set aside what, 10,000
Yes.
to bring training teams in addition to what might be involved in the package they offer us.
And one of the things we'll be looking at is going forward, software resource policies that dictate that you cannot fall more than one version behind. That means you have to upgrade. We cannot say, no, we're not doing it, no, we're not doing it, no, we're not doing it, and all of a sudden years go by and you're way out of date. Even if the company is saying they're supporting it, we should make sure that they're upgraded.
That also speaks to the argument, some of the other software vendors, there are no longer server versions of those. You must go to the cloud. Now, for Vision, that costs you extra money, and a lot of communities have chosen to save that money. Well, the problem is that when it's in the cloud, if we ever find that cloud, hopefully it's got a nice silver lining for us, that responsibility is always theirs. It's their job to keep all of those things updated. When it's on our server, it's our responsibility. So I think that whether we stay with Munis, we go to Vadar, and I'm sure there's other systems out there, they just happen to be the only two in this state that I know. I mean, they're probably the primary, they have the greatest market penetration across the state. I suspect we'll be in the cloud no matter what happens.
So I will tell you that I actually visited the cloud. It's south of Phoenix. It's about 45 acres of servers.
Yeah.
At least one small corner of the cloud.
Well, hopefully the backup is not in North Carolina.
Well, when you say that there's no server version, I will say from an IT perspective, there's a T-shirt that I wanted to get all of my employees that said, "The cloud is just someone else's server."
Exactly.
So, as long as there's not a server.
Server farm somewhere.
Right.
Exactly.
Ron, did you have a comment?
In a hot place requiring air conditioning.
Everybody's talking about the cloud, and that's true. All of our software, be it Veda, be it Munis, be it Vision, be it, they're all going to the cloud.
Right.
So it's not, and I didn't want anybody to think that they're just against the cloud. No, they don't have a choice. Everybody's going there.
We're all up
Well,
against
it's
the cloud.
expensive. They have a monthly
And
subscription.
for
That's where the money is.
That's right.
And for that reason, we should all, for those who believe, we should all pray. Because it makes it, from a tech point of view, it makes it super insecure.
Yeah.
Right, right. Do we have anything more to address on this one? We know that we won't be implementing anything for at least 3 to 6 months, maybe 6 to 9 months.
I'm thinking more 6 to 9 months.
And as I had said, I would hope that we wouldn't make a process change until we have a permanent person that will long-term be responsible for that decision.
I will give consideration to that
Thank you.
concern.
You have every authority, I wanted to say, you have every authority to make whatever changes you want to the administrative stuff, and that's great.
The only thing I can tell you is that even when I've been in interims, either through inertia or my great wisdom, so I think it's probably inertia, no town has rolled back any of the changes that we've implemented.
That's okay.
We try hard to not make long-term decisions that the culture of the incoming town manager might change. At the same time, we have decisions we need to make. You know, we have a police chief to hire. We can't just leave that hang.
Right.
We have other things to get done. And so, for instance, in Grafton, the minute I knew who the incoming TA was going to be, I immediately started emailing to try to, collect his thoughts. So I was bringing him into the process. This is not going to happen overnight. We've made arrangements for the preparation of the data files between now and when this change is made. And I think that there's going to be quite a bit of lead time that will help make this a little bit smoother.
We hired out
What I would
with
say-
ARPA funds back in the, well, I'll call it spring, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And
What I would say is that, it's not a binary decision. I don't want to wait for a permanent town manager before we start. I think Carter is certainly, and Ezzy is certainly able to start the process and the dialogue with you and the department to see what that would look like in preparation of. Now, when the final decision actually gets made, that is certainly up for discussion, but there's no reason not to have the discussions and have a process in place that somebody starting may want to implement at that moment, instead of starting from the scratch then. So I just want to be clear.
I ended up the interim in Templeton for 4.5 years.
Let's hope that's not because we don't like you. Let's
I think we have a good understanding, the group's working hard, they've got Community Paradigm, I've worked with them. They got me out of Grafton on time. Boxborough was delayed by a number of months. So I think they got a great team in terms of the screening committee. Bernie Lynch, John Petrin, very skilled recruiters. I think you're in decent shape overall.
And I think having an interim town manager is And, I mean, Carter's been excellent so far, and it's way beyond back in the day when we lost the town manager, where there was no interim town manager, and the select board resumed their role as prior town, charter for 3 years. Okay? It will not take us 3 years to get a town manager, I promise you.
You have some incentive.
I don't know, I can't, I'd have to look at the dates. I try not, I probably have blanked out
Blotted that out of
that
your
year, but those
mind.
3 years.
After Bill?
Yeah, well, after there was an interim after Bill.
Oh, yeah,
There was a 6-month, there was a 6-month appointment, and then the person who was supposed to be the permanent resigned after 6 months.
I wish you could get this
Still
down
not
the edge of Groton to Canoli.
okay. Yeah, well, which is a good advertisement for him, but, you know.
And I think Mark's very happy.
But he's probably one of the best in the States.
Does anybody have anything further on this subject?
The only thing I want to let you know is that the staff meets every 2 weeks, the finance team meets every week. We'll continue to keep you updated through your staff, and this is not an imminent change, and has been done with some forethought, and will be done with careful thought as we move forward.
If I'd
It's
like
not
to-
gonna, it's not gonna serve this fella any.
No.
To leave, clean up on aisle 5, as one of the members of the school committee referred to it.
Right. What is the expectation for how long the select board is going to take to put together the job descriptions, process flows, whatever?
Well, we are not doing the actual work, as you can probably
I suspected
know.
that.
Right, so it has been handed down through the town manager's office to the department heads for them to work with each department, and they'll be responsible for working with the HR director to, work in conjunction with them to come up with all the job descriptions and the org chart. So it'll be a concerted team effort, and it needs to be, because there's not gonna be any one person who's gonna know all the positions, right?
Just so you know, the board's goals were distributed to all department heads this morning. They were asked now to craft their department level goals that can help drive the fulfillment of the board's goals. And, the employees underneath them need to develop their goals that help drive the success of the department head, that helps drive the success of the select board. We also have put together a team. We had 3 staff members, really quite gung-ho on this. It's Annie Aubrey, Samantha Tucker, Logan O'Connell, is it?
I don't know his last name.
Yeah, and
Upstairs.
we added Amy.
Amy Turner is assistant town accountant.
And we added a 4th member. They've been given an hour each week to work on this, and it takes a while.
It's not gonna be quick, yeah.
It takes a while. It's, you're looking frankly at a 2 to 3 year process to get through all this. And then you have to drive that culture change through the people that are there.
I will say that, I think for me, we didn't talk about time frame. It will take time, certainly, and it'll take beyond this fiscal year. I do not want it to go much beyond that, because I think it's within reach to do, even with the people we have.
And there's enough.
It's not like we don't have 10,000 employees. We have like 200 and something. And I think some of them have the similar roles, like if you look at the police department, a police officer, that knocks off some people, and, there are obviously different ranks there that need to have different descriptions, but we should be able to do it,
And it
Well-
sounds like we have enough energy behind it, so yes, that's great, thank you.
Right. But as I said at the goals last night, setting the goals is one thing, making sure there's progress is the real work. So,
If I could.
And one more, yeah, please.
Okay, through you, Art, you have your monthly financial team meetings.
Weekly.
Oh, you meet every week now? Okay, could we start seeing what's coming out of them? The state, we're gonna call it for once a month, and they have a certain list of things that they would like to see reviewed. Can we get the minutes of that?
We don't maintain minutes of those.
Why not?
Because we don't feel that we need to.
You have a long conversation about multiple issues, don't you?
We do. There's probably a half a dozen issues that we touch upon.
And you create agreements during those meetings?
There's work assignments that are
Work
done on that
assignments,
meeting.
right. And so why wouldn't those be recorded? Why wouldn't it become available to us?
staff meetings aren't recorded. They're not public meetings under the open meeting law.
I believe,
It's not binding.
what's that, Ron?
I'm sorry. The staff meetings are not binding. They have their
Right, there's no-
discussions.
There's
and
no
they-
open meeting law or
No,
no iron
no.
like that, but
No.
generally, the organizations and ourselves, we're interested in what's happening within the town meeting and what could be affecting us. Why wouldn't, and for that matter, general meeting protocol, every place I've been, if you have a meeting, there's something that comes out of it, whether it's assignments or, completion schedules or events, upcoming events. Why wouldn't we be seeing that? I just.
You have a staff representative at those
Uh-huh.
meetings, and we rely upon the staff. We rely upon the staff to bring things down to us,
Right.
and rely upon the staff to bring things up to us. If your staff, I have all the confidence, given this discussion here tonight, in Linda's ability to convey the things that are going on.
I was gonna say that we have been hearing what's been happening.
Yeah, she's been giving us a review, but we don't know what's happening in the other parts of the organization that
I'm not sure
is
that's
generally
our,
aware.
I'm not sure
Public
that's
should
our
be aware.
business.
The public should be aware of the health of their town, right, and the activities within the town.
But then I would welcome you, I'll send you the link to the administrator's weekly report.
Okay, we'll take that.
It's not as expansive, but I'm not gonna change it to the permanent town manager.
That's a deal, that's a deal. But yeah, we would like to see what's happening inside from an organization.
At this point, the best way is the link that I'll send you to the administrator's weekly reports. It gives you a broad brush overview.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, yeah, this is fair.
Don't really think we want to go much further with that conversation, but
We're
thank you
wrong.
very much for offering
You brought
that.
it up.
Anybody else have any other comment to make, as before we move on to the next, or move back to the last item? Thank you all very much. This was a really fruitful conversation. I really appreciate you all taking the time, making the effort, and helping us clarify where we stand.
Sure.
Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry. Did you have your hand behind my back? I didn't know that. Sorry.
Well, before our interim manager card goes, there was some feedback we might be expecting on warrant articles.
Oh,
Oh, yes.
Well, you submitted initially, I forget which,
Yeah.
41D and 17F, you supplemented that with 17E.
we initially submitted
Four, we gave you four.
Submitted
No,
four.
you didn't.
We submitted, we
If you
didn't,
look, I went back and looked at the meeting because you'd commented on it, and there were 4 articles that we had approved. as a
Sir,
board.
if something happens at your meeting and it isn't communicated to our office, we did not have any time for the warrant.
That would be a flaw.
So the discussions that I'd had even prior to the warrant, where I believe it was 41D and 17F. Subsequently, that was amended to add E, which we've done. We went ahead and did
No.
that. And
he was in the first outfit.
E and F and 41D were in the first one. And we had a meeting on September 4th discussing them. We specifically asked for 17E and 17F to be sent to town council to be reviewed to help us come up with the limits for 17D. And we had a separate written
That's-
article for 41D that was submitted.
And A as well.
Oh,
well, A we didn't need to do because.
Yeah, well, yeah.
17E and F
We have to
should have
unvote.
gone through and.
And that, they're in the warrant.
Yeah.
41D, 17E, and 17F are in the warrant
Sweet,
as you requested.
thank you.
You know, timing, setting aside, they're there. You asked for it, we made that happen.
If I
And the
might,
summary explanation is as written by your staff. I have some concerns about it, I've shared those, but
summary explanation,
what's-
the part that was saved, but not.
what's going into the booklet,
Yeah,
what's going into the booklet is as presented.
Thank you.
Thank you.
okay, if I might, during the meeting, we did 41A. And based on, it was 8%, we went down to 6. It was by design. We did not know about the 2005, where they came in and the town approved 4%. Right? We voted on the 6. We approved the 6. Either we unvote that as a group, Or we consider the fact that 4% is pretty low right now. When we established the 6%, it was basically running about the average rate for mortgaging.
We would have to go.
And
He didn't have any changes. That's all I was bringing up because
But
that was in an
the
email.
only point I want to make is voting in your meeting does not constitute giving the office of the select board the information.
Right. I
So,
appreciate there's a.
From my time starting, all conversations were about 41D and 17F. Subsequently, I was asked to include 17E, which we did, easy peasy.
Yeah.
And the summary of that article is being put into the booklet as written by your staff. I have concerns over it, I've shared those, but I am using what your staff
Did we
gave me.
put it in?
We did, but we found that Kathy made this attention, we didn't put it in because Kathy
Kathy
had
found the
submitted
other
this.
4%.
What I'm
This was
hearing,
changed to 4%, and then the last meeting you said we're
Yeah,
all
so that was
set to.
not communicated, even though Kathy
Well-
find out before?
This was from the town clerk, and this is the date,
Right,
this
right,
is
right.
September 5th.
Okay, we had voted, we had said, look, we want 6%. Right? When did Kathy
We wanted to
present that?
reduce it from 8 to 6.
8 to 6.
Yeah, and this was actually
You guys voted.
in
Yeah, we did.
2005, or excuse me, 2006, it was reduced from 8 to 4%.
So
Right.
the only
It's a
question I
cash
think,
flow of the
there's
town.
two things that we missed, I think. One was, did the 41A get communicated to Carter? But you'd gotten this note,
Yeah,
so didn't communicate the 41A to him.
no, because there wasn't,
Did the 17E get communicated to Carter or
Yes.
not?
yes,
If that's the case, then you must have missed it, because you only gave us back the F and the,
and 41D.
Only because E came after that. Now, if you have a chance,
no.
No.
Your initial communication was both, all three of those.
Mhm.
then it got lost in the draft.
And that's okay.
It's okay.
We just fixed it, so, you know, I don't really think we need to argue about it for very long.
In any event,
It's just,
it's there, and if you had a chance to watch the select board meeting last night, we have a committee that was struggling a bit, and the first thing we said is, why don't we work with you?
yeah,
We redrafted that this morning, and I have this is great.
Yeah.
You know, so when you have an issue, just let us know what it is, and we don't have to necessarily agree with you. But it is always helpful if we can provide some input on the language
yeah.
to shape it in a way that we think is most favorable to getting it approved, and will meet the test of statute.
Right.
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 So where we stand today, I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah, we are.
Uh,
Well,
We're-
two of us.
We, in our committee, need to figure out what page we should have been on, because, but we will have that discussion.
Okay, my past experience has been exactly as you said, Carter. That basically, in the past, if we had some wording change to the last minute, after Adam, we went and made the changes, and that happened last year. So, but that's, the point of it is, we have to come back and look at, because during our conversation, Sarah, we worried about the cash flow implications to the town.
Yes, but,
And now we're going down and we're saying,
wait, you're addressing me, so I'm gonna
Oh,
address
I'm
you back.
sorry. Okay.
And not have you talk over me.
okay,
So, we had our 41A
Yeah.
discussion. I said that I wanted us to review things and discuss things and possibly revoke it, because we were missing one of our members. During that time, over email, there was a discussion about how we didn't actually need that because it was already by statute. And then we additionally found that it was already approved. And at our last meeting, we discussed that and said that, great, we don't need to put a warrant through. It's at 4%, we're done. We're just doing 17E, 17F, and 41D. That happened at the last meeting, so
Yeah,
I'm
all that
confused
showed.
why we're still discussing this.
are you done?
Yeah, no, I am.
Okay, thanks, sorry. Okay, so when we had our first meeting. we said-
Can I ask a question? Is there really a need for all these folks to sit through?
Yeah,
the rest of this
I'm
discussion?
not saying it's a
I read
cash
that
flow
one
implication of the
thing.
town, that's what I'm saying.
The warrant is open year-round.
Right.
Yes, the selectmen by charter make a notice of, it's open, and it's closed. But if you or any citizen out there has a 10-citizen petition, they can turn it into town clerk tomorrow. It goes in a file and it's held until the next warrant is prepared.
Right.
So if you have something like this, get it done early. Don't be, if you can avoid it, don't be crashing up against waiting for this notice to come in. And then, you know, saying, did somebody hit the send button at 4 PM when the office closed at 5? And I just want to make sure you understand, we're there for you year-round on these kinds of items.
I really
Okay?
appreciate that,
Thank
and understand that completely. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening, folks.
You're all welcome to stay.
Especially Joe.
Thank you.
We normally finish at 10 or 10:30, so.
I'm not all the watch. Thank you. Yeah, he's gonna tell you, it's not being broadcast live, so.
We need to say goodbye to council.
Good night, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, if I might finish.
Can we take a breath?
Sure. Let's allow, my concern is the town will become the bank, and that's not the intention.
So that's a item that we can talk about on the agenda. Is that what you're trying to talk about now? You're trying to move on the
Well, I was
agenda?
trying to get Carter involved in it, because I believe was the keeper of the whole thing, and I didn't understand that we could continue, and if we want to make modifications to go back to the original 6%, we'll leave them there, okay.
But we're not going to get into this warrant because this warrant's
The
already.
warrant's still open. We can make modifications up until the last minute. We can change things on the town floor.
Absolutely. But you're not going to print it all. It has to go to a printer at some point.
Right.
That would cause headaches for the people at the meeting.
It would confuse them. That's confusing. And I thought, well, okay,
So
let's revote
the
it
fifth
tonight.
item on current business is exemption warrant articles for town meeting. So we can jump ahead.
So we're all set with that,
We have the 3 warrant articles that we wanted. We have the 4th warrant article that we're going to discuss now. That was the 41A.
Okay.
So, is that okay? You're all
Yes,
set?
that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Rabbit, I suspect you have something to say.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And what prompted me to think about the differences between the 8 and the 4 and the 6 was a really good point that Sarah brought up during that meeting. We had our first discussion with regard to the impact to the town and the cash flow. If you recall, Sarah, we had that conversation. And the issue was, okay, right now, all the banks up there are playing with 6%. If we offer folks the chance to get on board at 4%, where we're going to be essentially undercutting the banks, and I don't think we want them coming to us because they can get a better rate, and the town has to pick up the other 2% difference. That was my thought, and that's my concern. And I'm thinking if we decided that we are going to stay at that 4%, then we might want to I believe we have to do another vote to say, yes, it's going to be 4%. I think it was a casual conversation. And maybe I'm wrong, Did we ever vote
So
on that?
may I, on what?
On the 4%?
You did.
Versus the 6.
No, you
We
voted, no, you voted on the 6 versus 8.
Right, we voted 6.
Subsequently, we've discovered that it's at 4. Now, let me just feed a couple things back. We are not competing with banks.
Right, we don't want
Banks will not give out a loan at 6% so that somebody can forego their taxes, which is a small percentage of what their home value is, really small percentage. So, literally, it's less than 1%, it's about 1.4% at 1410. So banks are not we're not competing with anybody. As far as cash flow is concerned, there's no difference in the cash flow until we actually collect the money at the end of whatever period it is when the person sells for whatever reason, dies, estate sale, whatever it is. So we are not competing with Bex, so it's not like we're competing with Bex. We need to disavow ourselves of that as a thought process. Having said that, are you making a motion that we opt to increase from 4% to 6%?
I'm asking for a discussion around that. That's
So
what I'm asking.
we'll discuss it if it's an open,
I would move that we basically consider maintaining the original 6% that we had voted to. And I'm open to either way.
it's not maintaining, it's moving to 6% from the current 4. It's not maintaining.
Right, the town, because the town is
So
the
you're-
final
you're-
point.
You have to make a motion.
You're moving to increase the current rate that we charge from 4% to 6% on 41A.
Honestly, I don't know.
Because
if
you
I
think
wanna
that'll
do that.
sell better?
No, it'll sell
Okay.
worse. It'll sell worse.
So the intention was to keep people in their house.
As much as we possibly
So
can.
why would you want to increase that rate?
Because
I'm
I
sorry.
don't want it.
Maybe I should say this. Did I hear a second?
I didn't second.
Okay, no second. Then guess what?
Viewpoint.
It's a moot point.
Thank you. We'll move on.
I think what happened was Kathy had come across this after, and this whole thing has been, just to find all these articles, it's been a tremendous amount of work.
As I mentioned to you, and I will mention to our select board member, we found a problem with our zoning, where residence A and residence B square footage was reversed sometime about 19 years ago. And it's still on the books.
Yes.
So
Has that been brought up
I brought
to
it,
someone's attention?
I brought it to the planning board, I brought it to the
Recently?
land use director, I brought it to Logan, and I don't know if you've mentioned it to Carter.
I didn't really go into great detail with Carter because we're still researching it.
Yeah.
Um,
But
Recently?
I brought it within the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
And I checked it with the office today, and they haven't done anything about it. So we will follow up on that, but there are things that have happened over the years, like the 4% that we sort of lost track of until we went back and researched it. So this zoning thing is something else I think that no one noticed because it was an error, but it's been an error that's been on our books for a long time. So,
And then,
okay.
so can I add, I believe that it's affected some of the citizens.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no way to know if it's affected anybody. 'Cause I know,
That's correct, but we know examples of where people subdivided their property based on misinformation from the
well, or the correct information from the town, but the wrong information in our bylaws. I don't know which. I don't know how to figure it out, so.
So,
Anyway.
my question to you was, is there a potential legal liability?
I don't know. We won't know until we've done more research. Anyway, it's okay. If you want to join the meeting, you can.
No, I think she's gonna leave, so.
I don't blame you.
Don't you have somebody to go pick up?
Yeah, somebody picked her up.
Not tonight.
Yes, dear, is the right answer. Thank you. Thank you both for your contribution to the earlier discussion.
Thank you.
It was an easy one to get through once we finally figured out where we were. I think we're in a better place now.
And you have my last executive.
Yeah, we have copies of those. We'll go through those. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And all the invoices and.
You have all the invoices.
Okay.
I just wanna make sure I have everything.
So
Invoices.
I think we have no more conversation about the exemption of warrant articles for town meeting.
I think we're all set.
We have no more discussion on the potential changes in roles and responsibilities. We're going to go back to the assessor's report. So, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Ron.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate
May I
it.
take care of my, I think
The
that
whole thing, we're looking fiscal 27 before it gets.
We may be forced to make a decision sooner than we want to.
But you got all those other parts of the puzzle.
Right.
I really think it's gonna be fiscal 27.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
Great seeing you all.
Nice to see
again.
you. Thanks again.
You will.
Night, Rena.
Thank you.
Linda, I'll call you.
Okay.
So it's us against you, huh? Anything particularly you'd like to cover in your report?
It's been busy, as you know. I have completed in Munis, I entered in all the HERO Act abatements for the motor vehicle. So these were for all the 22Es that now qualify under the HERO Act. They'll get back the full reimbursement
How
of
many were
one
there?
vehicle. There was 26 of them, because
Nice.
some of them, actually got already, if they got an abatement for the full amount, I couldn't process that. So I do have the commitment for you to sign for all of those so that we can issue them those bills.
Jump in ahead of the signature thing and sign it now, or you want to wait and do it?
If you want to, yeah, we can do that. Let's do that.
Since that's a subject you want
It
to
is,
cover.
and I have these all right here. That was a big one, because I was trying to get that done.
Tom, this is when it gets boring.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't.
You are welcome to stay.
Can you, thank you, the Mets are on. Do you,
Socks on her.
do you guys have the ability to lock up?
No.
No, we don't, so
You steal a key?
how are we gonna do that?
If you put the key back, you put it in the mailbox or something.
I'll drive right up to your house. I'll wake you up.
I'm old, but I'm not veterans.
Hey, Tom, I'll let you copy this if you want, medical regulations that get screwed up.
Well, that's as of the 19th, so we gotta go back and do some research before we go beyond that.
I'm gonna make sure it's the right one.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So,
We can't make Tom stay for the rest of this meeting.
no, no.
That's, I mean, like making me stay for the select board.
Look at Joe, she's here too.
Well, she can nap.
There are two parts to the HERO Act though, right?
I
Yeah.
have it with me.
Yeah, the HERO Act's 178, it adds two new local options that increase certain veteran amounts and changes on how you determine eligibility for motor vehicle. That was the two pieces, is that what that was? Adds two new veteran tax exemption clauses. Did you add those? Did that go in?
Good night.
And changes how eligibility for motor vehicle exemption for veterans with service-connected disability. There were two parts to that? Yeah, that's what you gave us.
Yeah, I gave you that last one.
Yeah.
I'm just reading it because I was just taking care of the motor vehicle at this point.
What was the other one?
The amount.
It said they must be accepted by a city or town to apply to in that municipality.
So we haven't
Acceptance
accepted
requires a
anything.
vote
Right.
by town meeting, town council, or city council, subject to municipality's
So-
charter. No local option is needed for the change under general law 68 to go into effect, so, and it talks about how it would impact clause 22. So I guess maybe we
Need to go to.
need to discuss this a little further.
Before we sign that?
Well, no,
You already sent this off.
this is already, this is effective now because it's already been passed.
And it's not a local option,
And this is not,
and it's not, okay.
Yeah.
So this one's okay.
This
So
is
let's
fine.
finish this one
yes.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention,
So-
but we probably don't have time to put this
So
on
this is,
as a new article.
these are all the 22E veterans. And that's the total, it's 3,600. If you could sign that.
It just came out the 5th, right?
The
It was,
Zero Act
yeah,
publication.
it was just passed. I had actually gone to a conference in Chelmsford, and that's when I found out about it.
Yep,
And
thank God.
as was discussed with all the other assessors, we were just gonna institute it because it was passed. And I did bring that up in the last
You
meeting.
did.
Yeah, that's what we got, isn't it, read it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call for a vote that we approve this
okay.
commitment for abatements. Is that commitment for
Yeah.
abatements? Okay.
Second. Aye.
Okay. Sign this. Second. Date of. Can you believe it?
Yes.
So you just have one copy of this
Yeah, I do have
to sign?
just one copy of that, yeah.
Which section required the town to approve? I didn't
It
put
said
that.
option, there's a word option there.
Actually, why don't you sign this extra one, here's a duplicate, then that way I have it for me.
Two local options. That's what I said.
What are you signing? As you can see, there's no loss of paper,
None.
so much of it. Oh, too much.
By the way, what you guys know, I'm doing the ultimate sacrifice for this.
What's that?
It's his anniversary.
Oh, I'm sorry, well, happy
My 20th year
anniversary.
anniversary, Jane, thank you so much for letting me do this. I'll tell you, it's gonna cost me.
Well, you better take.
It was gonna cost you anyway.
For a nice dinner.
Oh,
I know.
I've got a lot worse than that.
So,
That's all right.
Just another copy of the same thing.
Yeah.
do you want me to go through the bills and stuff first? And then I've got several items to discuss, so
Okay, let's do the bills. Sign the bills.
sign the bills. So this is the MLS. I have it because Sheila lost it, so I've just been using my own MLS, my membership, because
Annual membership.
it's a quarterly,
Quarterly.
it's every quarterly, yeah.
Oh, we did one of these.
We
Yes,
did
we
already,
did.
yeah, yeah.
So we'll just,
Linda, did you get a schedule, by the way? I didn't finish the heroes piece, I'm sorry, keep going, we
Okay.
can do all, we can.
Yeah,
They talked about the changing in exemption schedule. Do you have that schedule?
I
Determine the
don't,
eligibility for the motor vehicle exemption, that's the schedule, I believe. And then, section 23 adds a new, veteran proprietary
Proprietary.
Property.
tax exemption
easier
clause.
words than that.
well, that's where I think it gets into a vote that's needed. I think we need to do a little more research on that, to be
Okay.
honest.
Can we put that on the
Put
very
The
that
next
next
agenda?
agenda, yeah.
Okay.
Because
And is there a digital copy of this?
no, well, it might have come through the
Oh,
email.
I probably have it.
I don't remember seeing that on email, but maybe.
I can check.
It might,
Okay.
the digital might be
Did-
just the location.
That was just given
DLS
to
may be
me
able
at
to send
that
us one.
conference.
Yeah. Didn't you mind?
Oh,
So,
You kidding me?
you just signed some stuff. We have it?
I put it up here, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay, I'm sending it back
Oh,
to
just-
Linda.
Okay.
Sarah signed
make
it,
sure she
right?
gets it.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's shovel it over. Good.
Okay.
Shovel it over to Sarah and I'll dump it over here.
Okay, that's a bill that we have. We didn't have this discussion with Izzy, we were supposed to discuss something tonight. That,
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess
yeah.
we'll discuss that,
Sorry, I forgot about that one.
yeah. That's the only bill that I have. I have,
Oh, really? Okay.
I don't have any, I have abatements for you to sign. And I have a release of chapter 1 and then the rollback tax. I also have the 3 settlements for the ATV cases that we discussed
Which
2 weeks
we
ago.
can't talk about here.
We can't, but you can,
We can.
yeah. And I also have a request to release 25,000 from the overlay, which
We discussed.
we did, it was actually requested in the email.
I saw that email.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I just need you to, if you want to do that.
let's do
Might
that.
as well do that
Do
at
we-
this point.
Need to vote, I think, we'll sign all these on releasing
So how much
25,000
does that leave us with?
from the
Well,
overlay.
I just got this number from Izzy. We currently have 305,000, or 309,000, excuse me, $716 in the overlay account.
Now, does that account for
It's 24 and 25.
the abatements that we've given?
It does include that. It would not include these three cases, which
Should
total
we get two bids, do we know?
5,000.
Okay, so we're fine.
We're fine.
Okay.
Wanna make a motion?
A motion, we transfer the 25,000.
I think he said so moved first.
Okay,
No, that's
Do I
okay.
hear a second?
that's fine.
Take work being called.
Don't you have to
I'm not- I'm not
motion?
getting-
Don't you have to motion and then move the motion?
Oh.
Technically.
All in favor of transferring 25,000 from the overlay?
And I was prepared for that question because I knew you were going to ask that.
You do that, and what was, it's in my list.
I
My
knew
list of
it.
100 questions.
Oh, I'm sure there's 100 questions.
Just three this time, sir.
Oh, crap.
Keep me honest. You knew that when I started, I forgot about it.
That's okay.
Three to sign.
I did want to mention that I completed the growth,
Is that part of your status report or the signing of this stuff?
kind of status report, which was kind of changed, but
Well, I'm just
So you can.
trying to be conscious,
the FY 2025, I know we kind of got messed up, so,
well, I'm trying to be conscious of the person who's trying to do the minutes here from this.
okay,
So let's try to stay in
we'll stay, all right.
our main.
So I'll move this to the end.
That's good.
She had more things to
I
say.
kind of do, I have more abatements.
Okay.
Then you do great.
This is motor vehicle. And Munis always makes so many copies, so just, if you could, just sign the top.
Top.
Do we have to initial any of the others or something?
No, because that's the whole,
And this is the triple.
the whole system does all this papers.
Yeah. Got it.
We should have gotten a signature page, so these, I have signature pages for you to sign.
Do you want the dates?
Yeah.
Thank you. These are still motor vehicle?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh.
Um,
Oh, it's not even lit on them.
Oh, there was. Well,
There wasn't, they had it, yeah.
Do you wanna, that's everything right now as far as abatements,
as far as what?
as far as abatements and bills. Do you wanna do the release of the?
We have the abatement for the one we had the executive session on last week?
I have the three, HB settlements to
Yep.
sign. Do you wanna do that next?
Let's,
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
sure.
I have the
Just very agreed
withdrawals,
on those.
We've already agreed on them, so.
I have the withdrawals from the attorney.
She's received the
I
withdrawals
received the
That's
withdrawals.
great.
from Wilson,
So,
where
yeah, we can sign it.
the attorney, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have even said the attorney's name, but
Oh, you did that.
I did. I'm sure that attorney has lots of other clients, but this client happened to be.
So these are the abatements of those three
So there are
cases.
three, you're doing them separately, all
I'm doing
one.
this separately, and the property card is attached to
And
each
do we have to,
each one.
initial these or sign them?
Right where it says Board of Assessors, those three lines.
Oh.
Four lines,
I don't know why I didn't read that.
down there. And you have your glasses on.
I just remembered from when we did the like 40 or 50 of them in July.
Oh, we could probably put the date at the bottom, right?
So this is the next one, and then that one.
We could put it down again. There you go.
Thanks. Dated that.
Go behind your back.
So is this
Nope.
everything that's signed here?
Don't
You
go
sign
behind,
Right, those are yours.
don't go behind my back.
I just,
Okay.
There is,
Ish. The reason why I'm looking, Mr. Chairman, is that I had a chance to do, and I know this is coming up, but with regard to, what's the expression, I'm sorry, executive sessions, and the materials that go through it. I know we have abatements that go through these. The actual material that we use in the discussions, or anything financial, remains locked up, even though the record itself, the final record, does become available.
Yeah, there's just the abatement that gets put into the book and the reason why. Everything else is private.
Private, stays private,
Mhm.
yeah. There's other stuff, but I went back and confirmed that because there's other stuff that's floating around.
Yep.
so that was good that we got that, so we don't have any.
Nothing pending.
Nothing pending,
Hey,
which is a good thing.
which means we
Yeah,
did an okay
we
job.
did, we worked so well together as a team.
We don't have 400 more to go?
No. Our slate's clean.
flashback.
No,
Okay.
flashback.
So the next item is the release of this chapter land lease and rollback tax calculation.
What's
and
the
I
total
guess-
rollback tax, do you know?
Yes, it
I thought you
is
did.
$16,561.81.
And do we treat that as new growth?
Actually,
You did.
we actually talked about that earlier.
We did.
So there's that,
And
both.
what's the answer? We don't know.
We don't know, I have to check on that, because we don't know if they're split, it would be new parcels, but if it wasn't split.
So logic would say, this was part of our tax base in whatever year it was, and we can grow by 2.5% plus new growth. But if this is now a higher value than what we're taxing it at a higher value than we used to,
That is-
then I think it's new growth.
It's new growth.
Yeah.
But we're not sure if it's counted as new
I have to
growth.
verify that, because if it is,
I don't know. That's a good question.
if it's
I-
broken
that's-
into new lots, it automatically is new growth.
That was not in our basic
Each
assessors
lot
course.
It was not anywhere. I went back, looked.
But if it converts from chapter land value to,
I think it becomes an increase in
value.
value. Like, it makes sense to me that it would be new growth, but I think it's definitely
the change.
something to check,
Yeah, so that is a good. that's
to
a
be
good
sure.
question.
I was the one that asked the question.
Good job, Mr. Chair.
I'm starting to understand this.
Do you want me to,
That's,
since we're on growth, do you want me to give you that number now? Can I roll into that and then we'll?
Sure.
Okay. So we've been working very hard. We have $516,000 and 74, excuse me, $516 and $74 of growth.
Additional
Five.
tax.
Additional tax.
Additional
Tax dollars,
tax.
Tax dollars.
$516,074.
That's great. Yeah.
So that's good.
You know, by the way, I was talking to Becky today about the 41A questions,
Yeah.
and she said to me to pass this along to you, values and growth submitted. When is she gonna see it?
Okay.
And you did it? Good job.
Yes, well, we haven't been able to submit it because we haven't got our interim back from Vision yet, so
Yeah.
we're waiting on that.
Oh, okay.
So this will be pending, it's all done,
Mhm.
and what I'm thinking is when we get that information back, because we're gonna submit the LA3,
Yeah,
we'll probably do it all at the same time,
you think,
I'm hoping.
yeah.
I don't have any.
I'm just the messenger moving along.
No, that's a
She was
fair
there,
feedback.
and she was doing
Yeah.
the dishes at the same time.
Yeah.
So, plus our
And-
eyes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
I don't
okay.
have a date unfortunately, so that's,
So if you talk
Well,
to
we
her, say yes,
experienced
the
this once
message goes
before.
through.
yeah.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
we
That
experienced
was an
this,
interim though.
no, we experienced this once before, but the issue at that time was we were the only one that company was working on.
Yeah.
We're not
We're
now.
not,
Yeah,
So we may be down a long line. I know for a fact that they are spending a lot of time trying to do stuff with Leominster, which is a bigger account.
yeah.
still.
So I will touch base on, well, tomorrow's,
We-
We have to be able to get things done.
We've been poking, and we've been pushing.
sending emails.
I know you have, I saw them.
I have.
I mean, she's been.
It's not for a lack of,
No.
Trying.
Well,
Believe me, it makes me nervous because I don't like to do things at the last minute, and I normally have approved by now, so.
yeah.
So this is late. In my opinion, I feel like it's late. But
I know, you've been actually thinking about it for quite some time and sending notes about it.
trying to prepare.
It's, that one is not
So-
on you.
a few weeks, yes?
She can't
I
guess about it.
can't even
It's-
answer that
yeah.
because I'm being told that Mike Torello is looking at the commercial and he was getting residential. He has somebody else working on that, and then he's gonna look at that. And I did also send him an email regarding adjustments to look at and cost tables, because we did find a couple of things.
Okay.
When I was doing the smart growth, I found that the apartments, there was an error in the code, and it changed the value, but I was able to override it. So we found some other things, like as far as quality and things that need to be looked at, so,
An RN?
on Vision's end,
Vision end?
yeah. So while he is looking at all that, I said, can you look into the other costs as well?
I saw that too.
Is there anything left to sign there? I guess we'll
I
set
have
that.
nothing here to
Thank
sign.
you for including us on those emails, it makes it easier for us to know
Oh.
what's going on in the report.
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate,
So- Just about communication, I occasionally get stuff that comes directly from Carter or someone else. I try to always remember to forward to you guys so you know what's going on.
You're doing a good job.
There may be some time when I forget because I'm so excited by the memo.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm forwarding it on to you, and then I get another response, and it's just me, and I go, I gotta send this one too.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna work collaboratively, we all need to
No, it's
collaborate.
good. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Just,
I know, Jeff, you had mentioned about that HERO Act. I just wanted to give you a copy of the letter that
Oh,
we
I think I
we
have
sent
it.
out to,
it's the letter.
You gave it, I think you gave it to us last week.
okay,
Yeah, you did, thank
because
you.
I know you were questioning that.
No, I only questioned because you said, oh, there's one, there's two, and that's what brought it up,
That,
that's
it
all.
has the date that took effect, which.
Yeah. You're still my hero no matter what.
Oh,
Maybe I've
I
seen
knew.
next to it as well. I do remember seeing it.
So, do we want to do the minutes and then we'll discuss this other issue here where
Which is the other
this,
issue?
the other issue is the,
Don't say any address unless it's.
no, I
something-
can't, it's this property where we did an administrative abatement
Oh.
and being asked.
That's gonna be a longer conversation, let's get through the minutes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I thought. All right, so,
So that's a good point,
I sent the minutes from September 4th, but I think,
too late for,
Yeah, yeah.
but that's okay.
but they're in your folder,
So-
they're in your email attached. Please look through them and let me know if there are any edits to be made to those.
So when we go back a little bit, we had a meeting on August, we go back even further.
August 19th? No.
We had a meeting on August 19th, I've made some adjustments to what was sent to us by. Anyway.
Danielle,
Danielle, I went blank, I kept going deep,
No, I always have, I have troubles.
Sorry, Danielle.
Sorry.
So I made some adjustments, I don't know if there are any further adjustments to the minutes that I adjusted.
I didn't see
That was the
any.
18th?
I've got
Or
online.
August 19th.
If you want me to look for typos, I can, but I didn't see any when I read it online.
Okay.
Oh, I
No,
know I
I'll let
had,
you read it.
I know I had that in my head. Because
That's why I
Denise
didn't
is
see,
our
I know,
neighbor.
it's right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah,
Okay, and gets back to the other piece. Question about minutes. I just want to confirm, Linda, to you, that he received the check, the one that we signed on the 1st of July, early July.
Oh, good.
He received the check, but he's mentioning that, he says, I don't think my property card changed.
The value didn't change, he doesn't
I
think?
have no idea.
Okay,
He called me, and then I called him back, I said, tell me you get the check, please. Go, yeah, I just got that. And he said, but I'm thinking changes in my property.
So that's,
Is he looking online or?
that,
how, why don't you have him call the office and I can
Yeah.
go through it with him?
precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's not a question of the minutes, it's a question of that,
Yeah.
that brought you back to thinking about that, so that's fine.
Right, and I just, because I deferred in front end and didn't want to take us all over the place with all these other people. Okay, you said the executive sessions. Can I load this, can I make this a part of our policy with regard to executive sessions?
What?
Because according to the law, it says that if someone should request a copy of any of the executive sessions, we have 30 days to respond
Yeah.
and decide. So I'm just gonna say, I'll throw that in as a policy.
I'm not sure I understand, what do you want to put in the policy?
It's just that we would respond within 30 days. That's all.
To a request for public record?
Yeah.
There's a public records process, right?
Is that what you're asking, something from our files, like the abatement request? Okay, I think my neighbor went and squealed on me. Right?
That's-
And I wanna see those minutes. I don't think we would wanna release that, because it includes names, but we can certainly release other things that we've discussed. And that would be our policy, that we won't release things that are confidential, or
If it's in a public meeting, that's one thing. If it's during the executive session, we already have rules around the executive session, so I don't think we need a policy around the executive session. But correct me if I'm wrong.
I'm suggesting that we create a policy around at what point does something, do we perceive it to be confidential? And with our, we're gonna respond to you within 30 days. If you request something, we're gonna do it in 30 days. That's all.
So we have to respond in 30 days anyway, so we don't need to make a policy about
Okay?
that. And we have rules and regulations from the DOR about what can be released
Right.
already, so I don't think we need a policy on that either.
We could revisit that, but that really isn't to do with the minutes then, is it? It's a policy that raised the question.
I'm just asking, you want to waive the policy? Okay, we have the overlay estimates now. Okay. And, I'm good. You said in this meeting that Brian LaFawn states his website is late and should have been done 8 months ago.
No, that's not what I said, but I didn't fix it. I said we started working on this 8 months ago.
About 8 months ago.
Well, I thought you might want to correct that one yourself. I love it.
Here we go. Wrong.
What would you like to say? I said, we started working on this 8 months ago.
And it's gotten changed, the specifications have expanded, and
So
it's.
would you like to change the wording so it says we started this 8 months ago? That's what I said.
Brian LaFawn states that this website is already late,
We started 8 months ago.
Started. Is late due to expansive.
Well,
Okay.
have what you want, I don't care.
Due
You
to.
keep, yeah,
I said,
much like you're doing right now, you just kept expanding the thing until it. So I just told
Have
you.
entertainment.
It is. I'm gonna throw coffee
It's
in
not a
on
board
Tuesday.
meeting.
Which date are you looking at?
I'm looking at, when do we start? It should have been done.
No, what date you looking at?
Oh, the 19th.
Okay,
19th.
okay,
Do you
good.
think that was gonna get by?
Nope, I just wanted to know.
Okay, let's see, agenda outline, the new proposal, okay. DOR has concerns on our values, you get that. Okay, that's done, I'm happy with that, provided that
I'll take out the should have been done 8 months ago, and I'll just put it started 8 months ago.
started 8 months ago. I'll go along with that.
Any other modifications to the minutes? Okay. For the 19th of August.
That really hurt.
I didn't see any.
Okay, actually, you can move and I can second because she wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
No, I move that we make the amendment as written.
I'll get that done, yeah,
Okay.
as amended.
As amended.
I'll second, all in favor?
Sounded like my mother.
September 18th.
I did not see anything to change there either.
Was there any suggested changes, Mr. Rabbit?
Just reading my quick notes on LAUR.
Are you making these changes to these? Okay, just sure.
We get the thing from Danielle, I usually make a few changes, and send them out to the team, and then, since I already have the doc, I'll just fix it,
Okay.
Yeah.
and send them off to Ellen.
Okay, page
Oh,
three.
you want me to add more stuff to your pile?
No.
Just questioning, you know,
Enough of my
but she's bored there in the office with nothing to do.
I made you a pretty color graphic thing that you can flip out.
Oh, that was great.
Okay, so what we
You're
know
looking for
is
a
that
job?
this is
Hybrid.
exemption before
Oh, I
the
can't.
warrant articles
I
for
can't.
fall town meeting.
I
A
hope
draft
that's
was received from the interim
Yeah.
town manager, the board will request the
Plus, I
17
love my
meeting
job.
that doesn't really make sense.
Well-
And he's, Carter's saying he never received the request for the 41A. So,
We'll go back and look at that, but
Yeah.
for the minutes.
For the minutes.
What would you like to change?
I would just take as been received by the town manager, that's what he's saying, we're not gonna change anything, just take it out of there.
Take what out of it?
Yeah, because
The
we,
draft was received by the interim town
that was
manager.
that whole
Yeah,
thing that we saw from Kathy, and then
I know, it's okay, it's okay.
it's been confused. The whole thing has been very, just finding the
The
information.
fact that she's the only one that can find it in the town, that's scary.
No, that's her
No,
job.
that's
that's her job.
Yeah.
But you would think there'd be a directory, did she just go to the directory?
No,
Or did
No, no,
because we
she
didn't have
has-
those kind of
She
records.
Yeah.
You know, she has folders,
She has also.
she has a file cabinet full of folders, and they're all,
Are they in pretty good shape?
she has to go back through every one of them and see.
She had to read a lot.
She,
Yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's why we're doing.
I don't want that job.
No, I don't want that, I don't like.
Kathy's welcome to it.
And I have to say, the issue is more really in our office because
Yep.
the fact that the information.
It was our office, long before it became our office, yes.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, so let's just
So-
scratch out that whole sentence.
What do you want to take out?
A draft was received from the interim town manager, in reference to the 41A.
Okay,
Good eye, I missed that one.
we'll take that one out. Anything else? The board suggested?
And Sarah questions if the value is dropped in 2006, should be written or published in an article? Brian Fawn will work on the document.
Yeah, that was us talking about 17E and F.
Yeah, it's the
And we did
2006.
that.
Was that,
Yeah, it was
was it
2006.
2006?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
Okay,
as
that's fine.
Kathy
Confirmed.
and Linda
Yeah.
reported.
Executive session meetings being made public. Okay.
She reported it first,
Yeah.
I think she,
Okay, I'm
yeah,
okay.
you did report it and then she,
way
yes,
back when.
that's right.
yeah.
It was the 41A thing.
So is there something
I
that we should?
just
Sorry.
want to move that
The
we're
whole
gonna
thing's
move it
been, at
right.
least we've got it
Okay,
straight though.
took
I
it out.
am glad.
And my file is like this.
No, I remember, well, I remember when we first started talking about
Any
it.
other,
Yeah.
no
It
other
was a while
suggestions?
ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
we can, any one of us can move on this one.
Motion to accept the minutes with modifications as proposed for September 18th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I guess we'll push the September 4th to the next meeting.
We can do
so
that.
we can review
No
it.
problem, no problem. I'll have these into the clerk's office tomorrow.
Great.
We have minutes for some executive sessions, we can't really talk about the content, but if there's anything you want to change on any of the three, we can suggest those right now. You want to start with the 610? So we'll all look at the same one, so we aren't working at cross purposes.
Yes. And the board we accept the minutes of 6:10.
Sarah has a fix.
What do you have a fix, sir?
It's just grammar.
It's of signing.
Yes.
That was kind of funky.
Why do we have it, sir?
It's easy to look.
I hear a motion that we accept the executive session minutes of 6:10:24.
Second.
Aye.
I guess I don't.
That's fine.
I didn't have that on there, I only had August 19th and July 29th.
It's okay.
Yeah, we have July 29th.
No, one. On the agenda.
Oh.
July 29th.
I have no problems with it.
Sarah's fixed stuff.
Just grab them.
Good.
Oh, yeah, we need those. We need them.
As amended to the abutting parcel. Yeah, that makes sense. Abatements were to,
Yeah.
oh, excuse me, were to, what?
Don't know what you're doing.
Oh, this one's for below, filed or for during, chance to file, what is that for?
4.
To file for?
Yeah.
Have a
Did that
chance
hurt?
to file for, oh, I see.
4. Yeah. Whatever.
It's
You
kind of
can-
a hanging
I know. it is.
preposition,
It's
I
just-
don't,
There's
not
just a
preposition.
lot in that sentence. It doesn't really, yeah.
Didn't have a chance to file during the event. I think we leave it
Okay,
alone.
leave it.
Okay, without that, Sarah made
Remove my carrot.
2 corrections. She made 3 corrections, I just uncorrected one of them. Do we accept these minutes as amended?
That's amended, yes. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rena has them on the computer someplace, we're gonna have to make those changes on her computer. As you can tell, we're all looking at these for the first time.
Yes.
So sorry.
Sorry.
Not that exciting.
Now this, the 19th's the one that's got me nervous, but there's nothing I've seen that's wrong.
Well, we actually just signed the abatement itself, right? We had signed the abatement that day. We didn't sign anything today, right, on that one? The one from the 19th?
We just signed that today.
We did, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We discussed it, but we didn't.
Right.
These are more notes rather than sentences, so I'm just, it's just a couple things like the land. Read through it, see if it makes sense. I don't want to say it out loud.
Well, we don't know, they don't own the property. You want to change the land site index?
Oh, yeah, we can just get rid of the unnecessary words before that.
The land site index. And I'll put in the word changes.
Yeah.
Okay. From. Okay.
And then down below,
Yeah, yeah, what's that? It's just extraneous.
yeah,
You want to read this
Let's see this.
as amended?
which is like,
No
you know,
changes
you're
in
writing it out
numbers.
while you're
This will change from.
doing 3 other things, you know.
Oh, yeah.
This is why I need an editor too. So
Always
you
have
start
to.
writing, somebody interrupts, you forget what sentence you're on.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. I would move that we accept those changes as made.
Okay. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, follow on discussion, quick note. This is loaded with policy establishments. with regard to the 20% grade, 20% change, 5% commercial.
Well, you'll make those suggestions at a future meeting, I hope?
Yes, yes, I'm just
Thank you.
saying, keep those in mind, because this is a big one. I don't think we've ever done anything.
We haven't documented that sort of policy in the
Yeah.
past. We want to maintain some consistency, so
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just bring in the policy stuff and we'll have a discussion about it.
Let me get past my,
Get your
website
anniversary?
from hell.
You can get
She was
past
very generous and very nice, and
Yeah.
she knew how important it was, but she's still looking at you like,
Yeah.
Well, you better take her out tomorrow night for
oh
this.
no, we're going away for the weekend.
Good.
Mystic.
Oh,
I
that's
was
a
supposed to
beautiful
be,
place
I was
to
supposed to be
go.
going up to, I
I
know
love
I'm gonna
going
tell
there.
my daughter that we're not going up and meeting them up at Sunday River, and for that matter, her brother-in-law, that we're gonna see with the kids, they're flying it every so often, I mean, now it's, she got the win. So anyway,
So we're gonna move back to the agenda.
Yes, I know, it's just been all over the place tonight. I just have one more item, so,
Is that still part of the staff report? Sort of, or it's not included anywhere else, is it?
Well, it's-
it is actually part of, the status, let's see if there's anything else.
No, this is,
This is something new that was added, which
yeah,
actually Izzy wanted to bring up tonight, we didn't get to,
he
unfortunately,
left.
discuss it, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I sent him away. Sorry, Izzy.
They looked tired.
so, this, there was an administrative abatement made,
That we approved back in
I remember
approved
that.
back in,
I remember.
June, July.
yeah.
Yeah.
June.
Can I say what had happened with it, or do I not need to?
This abatement has already been approved and is closed,
Yeah.
Yep,
so I believe we can talk about it
this is it
publicly.
right here, okay.
We don't have to talk about the
We can't
location.
discuss the location.
Well, we don't have to.
Can we say what happened with it?
We can say what happened.
Okay,
Yes.
so this was a fire.
Mhm.
And typically with that,
Nobody,
it's.
we don't have to talk about the location. It's a fire.
Right, right.
So what we did
So
was,
if it's more than, if the building is destroyed more than 50%, it just goes down to land. So we did the administrative abatement because of that,
Right.
as of the date of the fire.
as of the date of the fire. And to do that, the homeowner should have paid 4 months. Based on the date of the fire, the homeowner should have paid 4 months on the building. So I did an omitted bill after that was done.
I see.
I was supposed to do an omitted bill to recharge for
For the
the,
4 months.
for the 4 months.
So we take them back to zero
So
Yeah.
do you
and then
rescind
charge it
this
for the 4
abatement?
months.
Well, this is what happened.
So as
is-
far as we're concerned, we have the valuation correct
Yeah,
Okay,
in the assessor's office. We have 4 months of a building and 1 year of land.
okay.
so what was supposed to happen, and I saw the homeowner, I gave him a copy of this revised bill.
Right.
He was supposed to receive a credit from the tax collector. And I was approached by the tax collector that I had to reverse this abatement the other day because it's incorrect in their system. So I should not have done she said I shouldn't have done that, which all kind of supports the reason why the assessor should
Be separate.
it has to
Yeah.
be separate. So at the end of the day, he should have paid 420273 for land and building, based on both this. So now, she's requesting that we reverse that abatement so he can get, he would just be, it would be adjusted in their system to $8.46 that we have to pay. So my issue is, why can't you reconcile this in your billing system? Because I don't handle the bills.
Yeah,
I've done
that
what,
makes sense.
I've done what I had to do, and I just don't,
I don't understand, I'm listening to this and I really don't
It's very-
understand how it's working inside Munis.
no.
And
This is
I mean,
what
this
I
is what we
don't-
were supposed to do.
Yeah,
We did it, and then there's some kind of,
They can't seem to process it.
no,
Yeah.
and she said that they can't adjust it on their end, that I have to,
I don't think we can rescind an abatement.
I don't know if there's a vehicle for that, although you said there might be.
I don't know.
I asked Becky, and the only way that it could be done is if you vote to rescind it.
Except that that was what should
This,
have
this is
happened.
what should have happened, so,
That is what should have happened.
yeah. Well, I don't understand why they can't correct it on
So-
their end.
Ezzy wanted to discuss it tonight, but then
Right.
he, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't really throw him out, but
Yeah.
he sort of forgot.
so,
What's the time sensitivity of this?
well,
It's an $8 difference, right?
yeah, if you reverse this abatement,
But reverse the whole abatement?
reverse the whole thing.
Why would we, I don't
We can't
understand,
do
how can
I
we do
know,
that?
she requested that, we're not supposed to do that when we issue an abatement.
We can't.
We need to have him
we
come
can't
back
do
in
that.
and tell us
Yeah.
why he needs
Yeah.
to reverse the abatement, because it
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense to me.
No,
Yeah.
and I went in and discussed it
I
because
catch on that.
I had notes on this, and,
Because they asked her to do something that we typically wouldn't do as far as the administrative abatement. But, okay,
we did it because
We did it.
he was actually charged for
A full
a
year.
whole year.
Yeah,
So that's why we did the abatement,
and then you did the partial.
and then I did just on the building for the 4 months. And I think the guy overpaid, and there was a lot of back and forth about that.
So can we
That's not
invite
our area.
Ezzy to our next meeting,
Yes,
and we'll put this down as agenda
The first
items,
thing.
all by its lonesome,
yep,
because we do not understand why Munis can't make the correction within Munis.
right.
Because I don't think we can rescind an abatement, that doesn't make any sense.
There may be a vehicle, I'm not aware of one.
Yeah, I don't know.
In all of
And
our
it's-
training, we didn't see anything about
And it's
rescinding
not,
an
it's
abatement.
not a mistake,
It's not?
this is how you were supposed to do it.
Well, what I did was, when I put the abatement in Munis, if you don't have an area to, if somebody paid,
Anybody online still? No.
no,
Maybe try to jump
no,
in.
Michelle?
No?
No, we didn't keep going.
Okay, so I posted it, she had everything paid on that other bill, so I had posted it against this one, so now it's this big creditor, so I don't know, it's very confusing, and I don't handle billing, so this is why it makes it even more confusing, because I know assessing, I know we did what we were supposed to do, and now it's not adjusted on their end, so,
Come on back.
yeah,
I don't-
okay,
I don't have the answer.
I don't, yeah, so,
I have a question or a suggestion or thought. If I come in and Ezzy, you and I have a working session on this, would that help?
it would,
So
That,
if it's the
yes,
Yeah.
that makes sense
pleasure of
to
the
do.
board,
You're,
Rather than us-
this is a primary interface.
and then the time on it, it's, I think they would like to get it resolved.
yeah, no,
No,
I
it makes
don't wanna
sense to do it
wait.
that way, and I don't see why this needs to be in a public meeting, it's
Yeah.
it's a.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be good because you're the chair
yeah, yeah,
I know numbers.
and you do.
you do.
Okay, we'll set that up, not this week,
Okay.
because tomorrow's it, right?
That's
So,
good. That would be good. And as you all know, the admin did not accept the position, so.
Back to the drawing board.
Drawing board again.
Okay.
Rena's gonna see if she can possibly do something to.
You know what we did last year, near the end of the year,
Budget.
with Rena?
Oh, yeah, we're gonna
We
use
may,
it again.
we're not,
I'm not sure.
we may try to do that again.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be a little bit
Yeah.
obtuse.
Yeah.
But anyway, we may try to do the same process that we did last year, so we can get Rena back into the office for some period of time. or
It's
some
just a
amount of
busy time of year to be
Oh, it's awful time for her to
alone,
be
and I have Denise, but
She's doing other things
Yeah.
that have to get done.
She's
How about all this stuff?
other crucial
no,
stuff.
well, we don't
yeah.
even have that in, and it's just, I
hard
just
to
feel like we have so much going on, like some days,
There's a lot.
some days, it took me 3 days to get to scan something last week, and it's just because
Oh,
I just finished one.
And then we spun our wheels how many hours on who's responsible for the
Yeah.
village, but that's okay.
Yep,
It's semi-resolved.
And
so,
Linda, that was a great response, Brian as well. Those are good responses, all thought through.
Thank you.
Really.
She did all,
My
she did all the research.
my concern is that, I'm not following the law, I'm being told,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The law is fuzzy.
yeah. But,
So
There's law and then there's precedence, right?
Right, well, precedence counts a lot. Right. And then you point at who's got the budget to do it.
Anyway, we've addressed this, can we move on?
We are, I believe, that's it for the status report.
That's it?
Fabulous. Review and approve, we did vouchers and
Yeah.
payroll and all that stuff.
Yeah.
An update on neighborhood review. You last time said you wanted to focus in on just a couple areas.
Yep, so I have a tool that I sent to you guys, that I sent to the members of that working group. And it highlights all of our residential areas. The commercial ones, the industry ones are on there, but I grade them out because we're only looking at 0, 1, 1A, 1B, and then 3, 4, and 5, but we're I'm pushing to focus on the 0s, then the 1s.
Get them cleaned up.
And then work to the other ones. And it's easy for us to visualize that because you can just click on each of the points and you can see it and you can zoom in. We could potentially even do it by ourselves at this point, but I would really love the community input there because there's just a level of detail and living in the community that makes it much better to have. So I sent everything out. I've requested a meeting on Wednesday because we don't have a meeting.
Right.
And then a potential meeting on Tuesday the following week.
Oh, wow.
And I'll see who gets back to me about times they're available.
And if you can't get the whole committee,
We'll work with what we have because it's a working group.
fabulous.
And certainly, I'll come back with recommendations. And I have an Excel file. I mean, what I did was I took location data, locator data that you can get from MassGIS and merged it with a join to our visions data so that the parcels are mapped to all of our vision data.
Oh,
And then it pops up as it comes up as a pop-up card. And I just removed some of the fields that had personally identifying information of owners and stuff like that. And then I sent that out to the working group so they can click on it and look at it. That is actually one of the beautiful things about GIS is it's right there, but our town, the municipal or Montechusett Planning Committee, so we don't really have access to that, except by other means.
Do we need to make a budgetary request next year?
I'm not sure because having GIS like that, I have some non-profit connections to do that, which make it inexpensive for me to do on a voluntary basis, but could be potentially more expensive for the town if they adopted the whole thing. So could definitely look at what that would cost and put that together for people. It certainly could cross over into a lot of other areas. I mean, we can get demographic information from, our town census and things like that. And it's great for that email that we got about climate planning. But I'm not sure the town is physically there yet for that.
A little bit of investigation, find out what the cost might be, and then we can decide whether to move forward or not from there. So, in addition to your neighborhood thing, thank you.
Yeah.
I think you just got recruited.
Maybe sometime
In regard to the budget, that's something that would be outside of the town hall. I'm assuming we're always gonna be updating our website, we're always gonna be changing, there's always gonna be this.
Would you outside the town hall?
If I go to an outside contractor, that would require a budget to get changes made
To what?
the website.
Well,
You,
I have no idea, but I'm just saying that if I have access to internal resources that have a tendency to come and go and get, well, not stop, but in any case, you don't want, they're not happy with, they say, go take a hike, right? And if you were to say, you know what, I got a better idea, let's just pick up our piece and go and have it done outside. Is there any,
Well, that's way off the subject we're talking about.
Well, only the fact that you brought up the budget. And
Okay,
that was
when we-
the object of that.
So I'm asking her to do some investigation, please, on GIS, what the cost might be. If you'd like to do some investigation on having some outside help, feel free to do that. Having said that, I don't believe that the powers that be here in the community would allow two hands in the town website.
I agree. The hand doesn't want
Well,
to, you know what I'm saying, Linda?
No,
Yes.
okay. That's,
I have one question for Sarah on the GIS, if I could, something.
please.
If we find things during our inspections, while we're researching the maps, do you want us to put them in a folder?
Yeah.
Because we do find things that we'd like to have reviewed, so I can start a folder.
In terms of the sites index, absolutely.
Okay.
Right, the focus for her is the site index.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right now.
Yeah.
yeah,
And I know you found some other things around factors.
yeah,
We've already started to ask Mike about.
Yes.
And
Why
that's-
is
that's
there
a-
a factor?
That's a different issue,
Yeah.
but it's
Yeah.
one that is near and dear to your heart too. And some of our favorite guests in the past
yeah.
also. So those are the right questions to be asking. Thank
Okay.
you. Okay. Anything else on that at all?
Are we still on warrant articles or are we?
No,
We
we haven't.
covered that already.
Okay, I didn't, okay.
We already talked about that, right?
I think I'm starting my pilot this week. I've got a person lined up. I've talked to Becky, a pile of other questions with regard to the,
What's the subject?
What were we talking about?
41A. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay.
Oh.
So we had discussed some 41A stuff, but this is
There's
agenda item and I think there's more here.
Okay.
So your point is you're starting an effort to do some kind of a marketing
Now
blitz.
I'm going to prototype it, test it out first. I have an individual who's willing to participate. We will sit down with him. We will go through the circuit breaker, see if he qualifies first of all. That's the big piece. I got some clarifications with regard to what is considered income, and it's basically everything. You know, everything possibly can. And then we will go from there. I have all sorts of forms in terms of application forms, confirmation forms, denial forms, all that other stuff that's ready to go to make that piece of process work. I will try this out with this individual. We're sitting down this week. We just said we would. And he'll come over to the house and we'll let him try a site that basically it's the AARP's site with regard to calculations on circuit breakers with the state of Massachusetts, so all that fits really well. And we'll come back to you and tell you how it goes. I don't know, all I know is that, you can earn up to $1,025,000. I mean, sorry, your house can be worth $1,025,000. You can earn in excess of 109. But then it becomes a function of what do your taxes look like, how much did you spend on your water bill, does that meet the 10% of your income? And if that's the case, bang, the circuit goes off, and then we get to say, okay, and as much as I do know right now, they can take a portion of their, or the whole thing if they want, in terms of not pay it, but they can never go and exceed more than 50% of the value of the home. So there's a lot of room there, in fact. The home values will probably
That's
go faster than the other one.
A long time before you hit 50%.
Oh, yeah,
value.
yeah, so that's what it looks like, and I reviewed that with Becky yesterday, and she sent some more stuff back, and that's how we needed to get that stuff back in. So, we're ready to start the run and see what happens.
Great.
And,
Sounds like keep plugging away, thank you.
that's all we can do. That's all we can do. Another question, how many
I'm
people
glad it's
play?
not me.
And,
Yeah.
okay. So, the next article, next thing is the website, is that what we're gonna talk about next? I can make this fast, or I can drag you through all the information that I've forgotten that I pulled together.
So,
We talked about the tabs, did you?
yeah, in September, at the meeting on the 4th,
Mhm.
we talked about directly under agendas and minutes in that section, that we would place one in the first tab, the motor vehicle abatement, with a link directly only to the form residents
Yeah.
will use. 2, the tax abatement forms, with links only to the forms that can be
Right.
used in Bloomberg and then
Right.
maps. Has that gone forward?
Yeah, all those are in the site,
Sweet.
all those are in the site.
So I look at it today, it's up and running?
You've added those tabs in the
No, I didn't create a
website?
separate tab, I mean, they're in there, in the link, and I was attacking it via the 3 things that I'm gonna ask, they're in there.
But we said we were gonna put tabs,
Okay.
and,
Just for the, because the residents,
yeah.
we've gotten a few phone calls, they can't
Right,
find
they
things.
can't find it.
Can't find
I
it.
have to talk to a few other people, I
Yeah.
can clearly
Yeah.
clarify that. I also, the reason why I'm coming to you, and I think that's gonna answer part of it, is that I'm asking for 3 things that we be allowed to put in, and if you want, I will show you how I arrived at the conclusion. Okay, I went back,
So the first thing is these tabs.
yeah, the tabs are gonna be addressed via, I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna try. Okay, and I can make a special tab in the FAQ section that loads it in. But in any case, okay, I went back and
It's not in the FAQ section, we're going to agendas and minutes, and then right under agendas and minutes, there's
Forms.
a tab,
forms,
Or something
motor
for it.
vehicle abatement,
yeah,
tax abatement forms and maps, that's
and
it.
that's for, I will move that up. And I thought I was answering it this way, okay, but I'm gonna do something else, okay, add tabs on those, add tabs.
Well, that's what you agreed to on the
Yeah,
4th, right?
Yeah,
yeah, I went back and looked at it, but I didn't look at for that one, that part. Okay, I screwed up. So anyway, I went back and I did look at the town of Plymouth, right? And because they actually have a working program in there. And I also compared by the way, they have a very nice website. I looked at their site versus what our site is. And when the opening page is, they've got some information here. And it has its own. When we first open up, we break it out into the citizens piece.
Yep.
And then the Board of Assessors, and then there's another piece I'm gonna recommend that we remove or move up into another section. That's not the biggie. The reality is, our site is considerably larger than Falmouth, because, yeah, we got this, Plymouth, why is it?
I thought we.
No, you're right, it says Plymouth there too, doesn't it? And so anyway, our stuff has those pieces embedded in, and that's where the problem seems to be occurring, because people aren't finding it easily. And then we have the assessor's information. The reason why this sits there and that sits there is when you and I, all 3 of us go away, this is where the repository of all those information is, and it won't go nuts. Okay, so we're looking for essentially a table of contents, and I have an example, and did I send that over to you? No, I didn't send it to you, but here, I can give it to you right now. A table of contents that would fit at the front end of this, and it would be tab, open it up, and then it hot links to different keys. So I'm looking for that, and also I'm looking at, Plymouth came up with a real neat technique, it's called helpful terms. And it's like, and I would be putting that, the index and the helpful terms, and make those hot links. I would like to be able to put the helpful terms into that particular piece. So, this is what the helpful terms look like. So the helpful terms would say things like that form, and then you hot link it over. And that's how I was gonna try and hit that. That's their stuff. And then the other interesting part was they addressed frequently asked questions in a different format that we ever thought about. And essentially, I have another copy if you want.
I can see.
Okay, you see, it's a terrible copy, my printers run out of ink. So anyway, I'd be putting that material into the free FAQs. And it's something very similar to that, and we would come back and add our own. And the other thing is that they also have they have a 41D section in there already built, which if we're going to 41D, then we might want, we're gonna have to put something similar to that up there.
It'll be under all the exemptions, yeah.
Yeah, under the exemptions. But they have one, we can put that up pretty quick, and therefore we got that covered. So when you go in and introduce 41D to the town,
Maybe.
it's up to you, it's up to you. So we got a living example right there.
So we're several months from needing that, although at some point we'll need it.
Yeah.
And that's,
That,
Why do
you're
you-
gonna need it if you're gonna talk to it, and if you ask the town to vote for it, you've only got a couple months left.
so,
And then the 41A, they also have a section in there.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
This is 41D,
Yeah,
and.
we're gonna ask them to vote for it, I've only got a couple months left, we're gonna do that anyway, it doesn't have anything to do with the website.
No, yeah, it's gonna be ready, real quick.
Are you gonna redesign the whole website
No,
that's currently there
no.
now?
No, I don't want her car, it'll kill me as it is, she's going to not be happy with it, but I need, for anything more in there, I have to have your approval to say, yeah, go ahead and put stuff. We can change it, but put it in there.
So the first step is to do what you guys agreed to, I wasn't here, but I would have agreed to that too.
Put that.
And we need to do that now.
Yeah.
So, and that's the first step. Once we get through that, then we can figure out, is there some better way to present this information? Yeah.
We were gonna take out the training modules, right? Wasn't that, did we?
I don't know what you guys are
We
gonna do.
We did not agree to that.
Okay,
I didn't hear that, so.
there was something else I thought
We
was.
said the front page needs to be an overview of the assessors organization. There's worry that the form section brings up every single form in Massachusetts. The board wants to make the website straightforward. The board agrees that under the first tab, directly under agendas and minutes, the following tabs would be placed. Motor vehicle abatement, with a link directly to only the form residents will use. Tax abatement forms, with links to only the forms that can be used in Lunenburg. And 3, all the maps.
So if we can do that,
Yeah.
step,
And that's all you want me to do?
for now. You can still do the research you've been doing and some of the design work, but let's fix what we got, because it doesn't work
Yeah.
very well.
Right. And I have permission to go to Cara and say, we're gonna
These
change
things.
this.
These things.
Oh, the
Just
tabs,
these
the
things.
tabs,
Yeah.
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 You can bring
So,
along the minutes with you.
I'm not worried, sure. If I say it, they did, it should go all that. Okay, so basically this, until you guys agree to the concept, I'm not gonna go work on this anymore.
Right.
I'm really honestly, I'm really ready to be done with this.
But this 41D thing, okay, at some point, we probably want to put something in that. We probably want to do something
You do
for
wanna.
Yeah,
17E and 17F. So if you want to do some design work around, research and design around those three things, I think that'd be really useful, because as soon as this gets voted on in town meeting, it'd be great if we could stick it up on the website.
It'd be nice to have a tab that says exemptions and then list.
Well,
I
that's-
wanna make a table at some point of,
Right.
Motor vehicle abatement, tax abatement forms, maps.
yeah.
yeah.
Number
That
4,
would be great.
exemptions.
And the exemptions would be, 17, 22, 37, what is it, 30, it's 37, right?
Plymouth created a whole section called property tax exemptions. And then
So-
let's split that.
But there should also be motor vehicle exemptions here, and I don't see it.
No,
So
So-
payments, yeah.
it should be,
I make a motion that we add a 4th tab directly under agendas and minutes to say exemptions.
Just plain exemptions, and let them go sort through them.
Well, underneath, when they go to click on exemptions, then presumably we will have,
Instead of
All the
subtitles,
exemptions,
yeah,
that
you
would-
put a little plus sign in there and it'll blow it out.
yep,
Blow it
yeah.
out.
yep.
So would we like to, well, I made a motion. I'm done.
I would second that motion, I'm fine with it.
I hope- I will, okay, call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye?
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I just wanna make sure we're clear on what the motion is, and that's the extent of the motion,
Yeah,
and that's what we're
Put
gonna get done.
exemptions.
And
Make it done.
I'm not gonna
So
work
just
anything
make
else, I'll get that.
Just make
in there.
another tab
Well,
that
you
says
can continue to
exemptions.
do the research, especially on the 3 exemptions.
So, do you have those
That
minutes?
Plymouth has, the 41D and whatever it
I'm
is.
gonna let you, I don't even really know what
Number 4,
the-
exemptions.
Yeah.
42D is or 41, yeah.
applications?
What
41A, I know,
The
42,
what?
41D, I'm not real
Or
clear.
just a description at this point? Or just the tab?
We just put it.
Because there's for,
When we
Let's make
met
it
in
living
June,
space.
you were gonna take over all the exemptions.
I agree,
And then.
But I'm not really ready to help
We
yet.
need to have the applications, so
and
people come in
We,
and then.
well, we brought up
We're not ready for them yet.
I gave you guys 4 documents that I got from the legal department, DOR, and then we mail it around. So I don't.
4 documents.
Yeah. Yeah, 4 that we brought in, and Sarah then said, okay, I think we can make this cleaner.
That was when we wrote the 41D, it was September 4th.
Okay,
We
Okay.
stopped at the meeting and wrote the 41D, and then I typed it up and said,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then-
okay.
And you even.
So,
made the
when
comment
you did that,
There should be 2, I'd like it if there were 2, so.
Okay. So, okay. You've done some research on 41D. So you have
Yes.
pointer for 41D. If you want me to take over looking at 17E and F, I'll do that.
I thought we were all set with all this research that we've submitted.
Well, no, for the website.
Oh, well, it should be what, after it's
Whatever.
voted.
But we can be ready
Um,
by doing some work ahead of time in parallel with some of the other work that's going on. I know we have a lot of other work to do, but I can take a look at that, so I'll do that.
Yeah, you
So
got,
thank you, give me all your information on 41D, and and that was Plymouth, you said?
this is town, Plymouth, yes.
Yeah, that's good. And they probably have something similar
And I
on
liked it, so
17E and F.
steal this one. But all I know is when you go to the town and get the vote, and that was the reason why we have that notes subsection, that said this is what it really means, and it still needs to get simplified, I think.
I think for 17E and F and 41D, we put who's eligible, the income and asset amounts for each. Same thing for 41D, the forms, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
It would be
That's it.
helpful to have the forms, because they come in all the time, and I have to print them out. And even though we mail them, people still come in.
And
So we're gonna lose
And
them.
we're going to the website, and they're not
Yeah.
gonna print them, but that's okay.
But we have 41D forms?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
But
But it can be
the
very
exemptions, they come in to fill out the.
Oh, yeah.
Are you eligible?
And we mail them, we mail
Yeah.
them to them.
And when the states come out, if they've been, I've been pulling everything out of that section that has all, basically the applications and all that. And I haven't seen a 41D yet, but it could show it. I still can't find,
Was that a separate, there's not a separate application for 41D
You know
versus
what, I
C.
haven't.
I'm sure it's the same application,
same
we
I'll
just
have to look at that.
we
I'll have to
just
look and see.
apply different, we apply different limits to it. So I don't think they have to apply 41D, they apply for 41. And we have adopted C, and now we're adopting D.
Yeah.
So whatever application they currently would do for a 41, they would do for a 41. I believe the same is probably true of a 17, they don't have to apply for a 17E and a
It's the same
17F.
form,
They
17.
probably have to put the same information in both,
Mhm.
so I think it's gonna be one application form, the same application form as we're probably using for 17C.
Yeah, I feel
Or
like,
D, whatever it is.
I think it just
When you
says
fill out-
17 or 21.
Yeah, I think it does, but
Well,
I'm not looking at it right
and if
now.
they're not eligible for 41, they might be eligible for 17. So
There you
if
go.
you start with 41, then you do 17.
yeah.
Mhm.
We had 3 a few years ago, and you haven't had any
We
last
had
year.
2 years ago, we had 3,
Yeah.
and last year we had none,
Yeah.
so.
But we
They
might
either
have
they
more.
either forgot to apply or they died,
Yeah.
moved.
The number shifted a little bit.
Well, right, part of it is residency, one of them is residency, right, so they could have moved. So, okay, so thank you. So send over what you've got, what you found on Plymouth for 41D, and then I'll see what I can find for 17E and F,
I will.
and then we can maybe at some point get ahead of the curve instead of
Yeah.
being behind.
That's the reason why you need to table contents, but that's a different thing.
Well,
That was for a pamphlet. So this is the site.
yeah. Okay, anything else?
When I go home, and just go.
Is that a
Kiss
motion
the
to
wife.
adjourn?
For goodness. I could go through my whole list if you wanted to keep chasing it.
Well,
Hey, we do anything, now that we've got
Anybody
our
in public
employee,
yet?
are we gonna,
oh, I'm sorry.
Nobody
Is
signed
that
up.
our website still?
well, no, we're not
Well, so we're gonna open up for public comment, and then we'll open up for board comments. I'm just
Okay, I'm
double
sorry.
checking to see if we have any public on Zoom.
We always
I
get.
don't think we have
No,
public on
I don't
Zoom.
see anybody.
Joe wants to say something. I wanna go home.
Joey, good. There you go.
Okay, I'll open up for board comment. Let me start with Sarah.
I like that idea.
I have no comment.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, question, we now have an hourly employee.
No.
No,
Oh, we don't?
no,
Oh.
no, I mentioned that before.
I sent you a note, and she mentioned it earlier in the meeting that the applicant
That's
She
fine,
would
let her
try.
have free enough.
Withdrew.
And that's why we're hoping to get.
after the offer was made.
I know, I thought we had her. So anyway, I was gonna say.
She had a start date,
Yeah.
and as soon as she got the start date, she went, no,
And so I got the issue with Carter, Zooming meeting, getting minutes of some sort, a summary or
no. He
document.
said he's gonna send out his financial,
Well, It's a start.
Report.
We'll take it as a
Weekly
start
report.
report. It's not that I don't.
his weekly report. I don't think it's financial, just financial, but go ahead.
Go ahead, Sarah.
No, it's your public comment, I don't have a comment.
Well, you
Go ahead.
can always amend mine, you know. So anyway, I just think that, okay, we're getting some stream of information, we just continue to open it up.
And I give all the information
Yeah.
from the meetings, I mean, I pass it on.
Right.
Thank you for summarizing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That's my job.
Sure. But as a citizen, I'd be.
You're doing it.
What is that cash situation? What does that cash flow look like? What are we doing in terms of how the money's sitting? Where can we, if my 41A does start to take off, where is this, which pot are we gonna reach into to take?
That's an interesting question.
Take
Actually,
stuff out.
where does the 41A money come from?
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
talking about that, but.
Yeah.
I don't, it doesn't
It's
come
the
from,
finance department.
it doesn't come from overlay.
Right,
No.
right. I
So
can't-
beyond that, no, I know, it doesn't come from overlay, so I don't know where it comes from, and sort of don't care.
Yeah, and I just didn't involve with it tonight. Court of Commission Special, Justice, status. And now, I guess the town is gonna be initiating some sort of car production response system.
Well, they're gonna, they have a lot of things to do before they get there, yes.
Yeah.
I think the intention is to get there,
Right. Financial institutions. And so.
which
yeah,
will also apply to the assessor's office, so we don't need to write one.
Right,
We may need to contribute to it when they ask.
I agree.
And I hope, hopefully you're willing to do that.
So, oh, yeah. I really-
I got one.
Okay, so anyway, the other thing is that we've got to, still have got to resolve is the relationship with the financial institutions and the town, because we're gonna be going to banks, in some cases, some people may have a mortgage.
Your responsibility,
We are not
it's the
going to-
responsibility of the
That's the
finance
applicant.
director.
Right, if it falls outside of our responsibility,
Yes.
it's up to them
Finance
to
director.
resolve the
Yep.
issue with
Yep.
regard to
And
their,
issues.
that relationship and
Yeah.
stuff. So I didn't talk about that because I haven't formulated a big enough.
Well,
I
I'm
know
just
it's
saying,
possible.
we may be pushing for a, we're gonna have at least one person, we're gonna try to see if they're eligible. If we do, you, financial director, how are you gonna work that money?
Let's see that process.
Just ask him how he's gonna work the money and let it, you know,
Yeah.
he's gonna come to us next week about something else, or next time about something else, but you could ask that question at that point too.
So that's my forwarding topics for the, now, we're not meeting again till November?
No,
18th,
we, 16.
16th.
What
What days did
It
it?
was 19.
And I do have that approved for.
2 weeks from now.
We have the Bellata room, 2 weeks from today.
Not Ritter. Yeah.
And I was shocked at that when I read it. That it was gonna be, that we weren't gonna have another meeting this month, and went to the
We
first.
never read that.
No.
You- Whatever you read was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what
I
you
guess
read.
maybe I should have included that at the upcoming, it was already approved, so
But we actually discussed it at the last meeting that would be meeting
we did.
this weekend
Oh,
on.
I
that's
just
what it
had
is.
tentative meetings. for-
Oh, beyond that, for November.
Yes,
Yeah.
so I should, I'm sorry, maybe.
You should have included, yeah, probably,
October,
I
so-
didn't see it.
See,
I
it wasn't
apologize for
Joel's
that.
meeting.
No, but these were additional.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
we
right,
had already
right.
scheduled
So I
it.
didn't see anything else on the schedule, so I said, okay.
Our next meeting is the 16th of October. Subsequent to that, we will be meeting on November 6th,
Yeah,
and then again on November 20th. I don't know the location of November 6th yet because we can't get the blotter.
Okay.
okay, and that would be.
I'm assuming we would need to have that year again, because the school committee has, I think that's what we. I'll
Probably.
find out.
I'm gonna leave that up to you.
I will find that out. I haven't,
I'm leaving it up to you.
I haven't.
Okay, good, that's
Is
right.
there any, is there any other?
What you gonna do?
Comments?
That was my comment. Anything else, Mr. Rabbit?
No.
I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
you have to take a motion to adjourn.
Tell me what the motion- I did.
I'll second it, yeah. All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourning at 9:15, 9:15. Thank you.